Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Odds here Monday morning. We lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers by 25 last night, and we'll go over all the reasons why. This was actually a game that they wanted us to lose for sure, the NBA, and they set it up for that all kinds of different ways. They set it up long before we even started the season. They wanted us to lose this game, and well, we did. And there were a lot of contributing factors. We'll go over all of them. I'm going to get right into your comments and see what you guys are saying, how you feel about the game yesterday. Monique is here first. Good to see Superfan Monique Lawrence. Always a positive light. Let's see what she's saying about the game. Good morning, everyone. Got to be better all around, especially in the third. Can't come out of halftime like that. Decent game by Pascal, though I'll say that, though, back to the drawing board ASAP. Go Raptors. You know, a lot of people are saying a couple of different things about the loss to Cleveland and saying something about the caliber of our team, but I still don't buy it. You know, there were a couple of different contributing things that made us look so bad yesterday, but I still think we can compete with them and we can play very well with them. There's a couple of things that just were unfortunate about the whole thing. And obviously Fred not being there is a huge one, but yeah, you know, coming out after the third, the problem in the third was that Donovan went crazy. His 8 threes that he got in the game, a big chunk of them came in the third quarter, and that's really where they separated the lead from us. They were already kind of beating us in the first half, obviously, but then in the second half, they really got it separated by Donovan just like hitting these transition threes. And it's not even like trying to find him or anything. He was just hitting crazy ass shots because he was hot. Like he was taking deep threes. He was just like, he was just really looking for his shot. And he was very much wanting to talk shit. And to me, you know, I wanted Siakam to step up with him. You know, Donovan's kind of been throwing shade at you, man, the last couple weeks. You know, you filmed him doing this impression of you at All-Star Weekend. And it was him making fun of you, Siakam, first of all. He's not your friend. He's an asshole, honestly. And I get it. He's a good player. And a lot of Raptors fans are saying today, well, you guys all sullied Donovan Mitchell and said you didn't want him on the Raptors this summer. It's like, yeah, well, I still don't want him because he's got his limitations. Sure, you can go off and have a game like this every once in a while. But we played them 4 times this year. And 3 out of those 4 times, he didn't do jack shit. So it's really a weird game because a lot of ways they were set up to succeed, all kinds of different ways. The back-to-back was a factor. I really was hoping that the short trip, that the fact that the game was earlier on Saturday, that they wouldn't have to travel far, wouldn't matter, but they really did look tired. They looked like they were on the second day of a back-to-back, and they were worn the fuck out. And that was a huge factor and why they lost yesterday. In fact, that may be the main reason. They did not match the energy and physicalness of the Cavaliers at the beginning of the game. They dominated us right away down low with Jared Allen, and we didn't match that. And I can't singular say, oh, it's Jakob's fault. Oh, it's Pascal's fault. Oh, it's this person's fault. It was a collective team energy effort that came in flat, that these guys were a step too late. They didn't come with the same physicalness that Cleveland did. They bumped us. They messed up our shots down low. And the referees were the part that actually really helped also, obviously, with, letting them play very physical with us. And then once again, the whistle's very different for us. You know, we saw each one of the Raptors get their nuts chopped off on offense a little bit, whether it's OG getting an offensive foul for trying to collect himself and get positioning and transition, whether it's Precious getting an offensive foul, making a move towards the basket, whether it's Pascal not getting calls when he goes to the basket and, you know, he just doesn't get anything. He's going to the basket. He gets hit. He misses the shot. They get the rebound, and there's nothing. There's nothing. There's not a free throw. There's nothing because he's not getting in respect. And then Scottie, same kind of stuff. He's getting hammered. I mean, he's going up down the low post and hitting the face and stuff like that, and they don't call anything. They don't call anything. Meanwhile, you know, Chris, he does do a sweep around and hits Donovan in the face with his arm. That's an offensive foul. We get all these offensive fouls called on us when we're trying to get momentum and being more aggressive and physical on the offensive end, and that just chops our nuts off. It really, really does. Whereas like they're coming and beating us down over the head down in the paint. We can't do the same thing on the other end. We're not allowed to. As soon as we make any kind of like move into them or anything like that, it's an offensive foul. And that was messed up. I knew it. As soon as I saw Ed Malloy's name yesterday morning, that he was going to fucking do that. And then when I saw that Derek Collins was with him, I was like, yeah, he's the second part of that. You saw Derek Collins out there give that tech to Scottie for waving him off for a second. Yeah, he's an old head ref. 30 years in the ref, and this is what he does. He fucking teaches young guys not to be sassy because he's a cranky old ref that is very like no nonsense by the book kind of shit. The best thing about the refs last night, honestly, was the challenge call by the Cavaliers was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious and the right call. And Ed Malloy, in some ways, that wasn't even for us, y'all. That challenge in punishing the Cleveland Cavaliers by upgrading it to a flagrant foul upon second look was really kind of like it was kind of like telling the Cavs, like, how dare you question us? And we're going to go look at this. And wow, you know what? We're going to punish you for actually challenging us. That's the craziest outcome to a challenge I've ever seen, because they actually punished the team that dared challenge them. And I love that in some ways because we got the benefit of it. Jakob did make the 2 free throws that spawned from it. But yeah, that was pretty funny to me that they challenged it. And then we ended up getting they got a flagrant foul called on them. We got 2 free throws in the ball. That's the only thing that I love that they did yesterday, the refs. Otherwise, everything else was just momentum changing bullshit. Like as soon as we're starting to get things going, little subtle fucking bullshit calls, the whistle from them to fuck us up with any kind of little momentum that we'd start to build or anything. So it was really, we're fighting a couple things, fighting our fatigue, fighting the referees, handicapping us by not letting us do things offensively and just like with the same energy and contact like they were. And then, of course, a very, very hot Donovan Mitchell is just going to kill you, absolutely kill you if he's shooting like that. And this is the other thing. They had more motivation to win this game. They did not want to get swept by us this season. So Cleveland came like that. They came in like, yeah, we can't be beaten every single game by the Raptors. And we didn't meet that energy. We really didn't. We're maybe feeling the opposite. Like, yeah, we beat this team 3 times already this year. We don't have to come in and we can coast. Yeah, that was a fucking bad mentality to have for them. And once again, I mean, I already started with it a little bit in the Facebook chat yesterday with Kenrick and Isaac, and they were really voices of reason. But I'm really disappointed in Fred yesterday. The fact that he did not show up in Cleveland and help us to play the Cavs really pisses me off, honestly. I know you guys, listen, Kenrick and Isaac, you guys are fathers, and you know the magic of having a child and being there for it. I don't know that because I don't have any children. And in some way, I can't understand what he's going through this weekend. But also, I can understand that a lot of normal people in this world can't take this much time off from work just because a baby's born. And, it kind of pissed me off. It really, really pissed me off that Fred did not show up and play in this game yesterday because we really needed him. We really, really needed him. We could get away with not having him against New Orleans. I didn't think it was good either, but, I could understand if his wife's in labor, he wants to be there for the child, it's birth. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and be there the day the water breaks and you want to be in the hospital with Shantae, that's fine. Okay, it's your birthday. It's a back-to-back against Detroit. And, you usually rest one of the days off on a back-to-back. I can have no problem you taking your birthday off and taking the first Saturday with your nice new young third child. That's fine too. But it is unacceptable. I'm sorry. It's fucked up. Now, Kenrick and Isaac had good points as far as saying, well, what if there were some complications? What if there's some issues going on with the birth and things that you don't know about and that maybe needs to be around? Well, that's fair. And I should allow for that possibility. But the fact that he did not come to Cleveland to play in that game pisses me off. It very, very much pisses me off. It tells me that he does not care about this team as much as I wish he would. And that, it's not that I'm turning on Fred. It's just that he needs to fucking show up for the next fucking game. And that we are not a better team without him. That we got away with a close victory over Detroit and we did beat New Orleans. Yeah, but we saw how far we can push our luck on not having Fred out there. Our offense looked horrible at times. Scottie is not ready to run this team by himself. He just is not, y'all, people that love Scottie. We need Fred. We need him. And it very much showed last night. You know, there's a reason why Donovan and Darius were held up in the first 3 games against the Raptors this season. They didn't do jack shit against us, and that was Fred. And y'all don't even realize that. Like, you guys sully his defensive efforts, but he really is a big reason why Donovan Mitchell went off last night. That if he had been available, his expertise on how to handle Donovan would have been very useful in how things went. I honestly, unless there's something really seriously wrong that went with that pregnancy or something, it looked like in that picture with his children, he was at home. And it didn't look like anything was wrong in this situation. The baby looked fine. So I don't get it. Why did you not come to the game on Sunday, Fred? You work 82 games a season and then whatever playoffs on top of that are preseason. So you think about it, there's 365 days in a year. You're maybe working a third of those days of the year where you have work to do, and that's called a game to play. And I don't get this. You know, Anthony Edwards, Michael Jordan, they made comments. Michael Jordan, a long time ago, said 20 years ago, players will be taking games off for the most bullshit reasons. And he's right. There's all kinds of players taking games off for bullshit reasons. Now, this is in the gray area of a bullshit reason to me, because I can't totally justify this. I've known NBA players that will be on the road and their wife is having a baby at home and they're nowhere near that child's birth and they're playing in an NBA game. They're that dedicated. I've known that there are players that have missed their child's births in the past. Now, I just feel like what Fred did yesterday is pushing it. That, you know, I can see, all right, 2 games off is great, but this third one did not need to be off. Seriously. It's a bad look. You're feeding the fire of your Fred haters, and I got to defend you, bro, against this kind of shit. But also, I got to get out what I have a problem with about it, because in some ways it makes me question your dedication to the Raptors winning, because we needed you to win yesterday, and you should have known that ahead of time. And why the fuck weren't you there is what I'm saying about this. Now, some of y'all may totally disagree with me on this. But I look at it this way. That's his job. He has a special job that only like 350 people have right now. And that, you know, you get a lot of perks. You get a lot of great things. You're going to get a lot of time with these kids. I know you will. I know you train a lot and you work really hard and all this kind of stuff, Fred. But there's a time to rest and hang out and enjoy yourself. And there's a time to work. And you said it yourself after the All-Star break. We have no time for a margin of error. We need to get going and get winning right now. Well, where the fuck were you yesterday then, Fred? If you're saying that we have no time for error or we got to get off the ground running and keep going and get going, well, where the fuck were you then, Fred? I'm sorry. I cannot support you in this. I've defended you all year on so many different things this year, but I can't defend you on this one, Fred. Why the fuck didn't you go to Cleveland yesterday? Seriously. They told you, oh, we'll just hang out in Toronto the whole time. We'll come back. You'll play in Chicago, the Chicago game on Tuesday. It was a really poor choice. Really, really bad choice. In fact, we needed his energy. All the rest of the guys are tired. We needed him to come in fresh and perk them up at the point guard position. Really, really pissed me off. And I was mad at during the day. And I told those guys, I was like, I hope we win so I don't have to be mad at him tomorrow for not showing up. Well, we saw what happened. Let's see. Monique saying, Lex, I know you're going to go off on Fred here to listen, but let it out. Better days we have to beat the Bulls, plain and simple. We need the spread, especially from Washington. Standings are jammed. Stay focused. Yeah, I like that you're thinking ahead. And yeah, it's just another game. We've got to get past it. It is whatever. You know, listening to Nick and Scottie in the interviews afterwards, it's just like, you know, they understand. It is what it is. Nick wasn't too upset. But in a lot of ways, I would have been really upset with those refs. I mean, it's crazy. We got texts. Because they were mad. Nick got in their face and tried to change the whistle by getting a technical himself early on, but it didn't change anything. Ed Malloy was already set. He had his hit job, orders. And listen, they don't want this. You think the NBA head office wants the Raptors to sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers in the regular season when they're a team they're trying to push as one of the top Eastern teams for the playoffs this year? It doesn't look good to them. It doesn't look good in some ways. And those Cleveland fans were hungry for payback. You saw that crowd was up for it, and the team was also. And we just weren't up to defend. and do the things that we need to do correctly. I don't think that this is a game that we can take a statement on anything about who we are as far as like playing bad teams and good teams. I really don't. I think that there were a couple of things that were against us that contribute to this, but we could beat Cleveland. Fuck yeah, we can beat Cleveland. In a 7-game series, we can beat their ass. And they know that. That's why they had to make sure we beat them yesterday. You know, they really did. They sent the referees on purpose. They scheduled the season this way at the very beginning for us to lose this game, knowing that we'd be in a back-to-back situation like this and they'd have the rest from the Friday game against Atlanta. They knew they would have an advantage. In fact, our last few back-to-backs this season really favor top Eastern teams like Boston and Milwaukee. Those games are on the second days of back-to-backs. So that, and they're very interesting that the teams that we play on the second night of back-to-backs all season have been Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Cleveland, and the Nets. That's very interesting to me that the schedule makers always conveniently put top Eastern teams against us on the second night of a back-to-back. That is consistent all season. You can go back and look from the very beginning. We're playing the Philadelphia 76ers on a back-to-back, a Miami Heat on a back-to-back, you know? So, yeah, I'm going to go off on Fred. I hope I'm fair. I don't want to go way out of bounds. I don't want to be painted in this picture that I'm anti-Fred or that I don't love Fred and I don't value him on this team. It's very much the opposite. I do very much value him, and that's why I'm mad at him for not coming and playing the game yesterday. It's very much the opposite of what some of the Fred haters will be saying about it. It's that I love him, and I wish he had showed up and helped us win yesterday. It's not that I hate him and I don't want him on this team. I don't want them to re-sign him. All that shit that other people may be saying, that's not how I feel. I'm upset because he wasn't there when we needed him. Kareem's saying it was inevitable. The Cavs were on a 3-game losing streak and they were up against a sweep. We had no Fred and on the second night of a back-to-back. Not going to go overanalyze. We have a big week ahead. Yeah, Kareem's exactly where I'm at. Everything he's listed there is exactly a contributing factor to a 25-point loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. Yeah, Kareem's right on it. We're seeing the same things. And I like his attitude and Monique's attitude to look forward and look ahead. We got the Bulls and the Wizards coming up, and these are very winnable games. The Bulls are doing better now. DeMar has shown up in the game last night, and he kicked some ass. And we are going to have a real fight on Tuesday here in Toronto against the Chicago Bulls. And once again, it's cool to have DeMar coming back to our building after the great open gym episode recently, but he does very much want to kill us when he comes back here. He wants to be the best player on the court and dominate. That's another thing that pisses me off. Seriously, this is very important, Pascal. You have to try and be the best player on the court every single night. If you want to be all NBA, you want to be a top 10 player in this league, you have to take the versus Donovan and you have to meet him and show up and like really try and be the better player overall for the whole entire game, because that is what wins games. Is somebody has to be the most dominant player on the court, and that was Donovan last night. And I hate that because in some ways he's insulted and disrespected you recently, and now he's just dominated the court instead of you on the court. Looking at the 3 stars of the game, Siakam is my first star of the game because he's the best thing we had going. And it's too bad. And really it is the experience of him dealing with all the bullshit and still being able to manufacture points somehow, some way. But you see the anemic scoring for the rest of the Raptors. They don't know how to deal with a fucking REF Hitjob with Derek Collins and Ed Malloy to produce points. OG in particular was pathetic. It was like, where the fuck is OG? What is he doing? And the fact that Gary was 0 for 6 at the half and had not hit a field goal yet for the game, this was all really bad signs for us. The fact that we only had 3 guys in double digits in this game, that it was a real shootout. And meanwhile, on the other side, you've got Donovan with 35, Jared Allen with 23, Darius with 18, and Evan Mobley with 18. They have 4 of their starters make big points. And really, it was only Siakam who showed up and did anything substantial for the Raptors last night. 25 points, 10 of 24 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3, which I love. 1 for 1 from the free throw line. There's something to tell you right there. Siakam only shot 1 free throw last night. Does that seem right? Does that seem right compared to, these other guys on the other side? They didn't shoot a whole lot of free throws in general, but Siakam shooting 1 free throw for the whole night, that doesn't seem fucking right. 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 25 points, a minus 18 for Siakam last night. A begrudging number one star for my game because 25 is not good enough, Siakam, when Donovan's putting up 35, 10 more than you. My second star of the game is Jakob Poeltl. I picked Jakob Poeltl because he shot a decent percentage. He was 5 of 6. He was moving around. He was trying. 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, a minus 16 for 13 points. You know, he was trying. And like, I really have a hard time looking at any of those other guys and the starters and saying, yeah, that was a good game for them. But Poeltl getting shooting 5 for 6 and getting in double digits and trying to help, you know, and 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Yeah, he's my second star. And my third star is somebody who came in and played garbage minutes, only played 9 minutes, is Malachi Flynn. And it really was, you know, he didn't get to play much recently because of Jeff Dowtin, but he came out there and he got 7 points in 9 minutes. And this is part of what the issue is with our Raptors last night. The points per minute factor was horrible last night. You look, and Malachi's 7 points in 9 minutes is fantastic ratio. Meanwhile, you got guys that ate up tons of minutes that didn't score jack shit. 7 points for OG in 34 minutes. 7 points for Gary in 27 minutes. 12 points for Scottie in 31 minutes. Now, Scottie had some bright spots, and he wasn't totally horrible, but he still didn't step up in a bigger way. And once again, I'm telling you, he's failing as the playmaker for this team to a degree. He is failing at it to a degree, and we really do need Fred. Now, the guys off the bench, yeah, I mean, Boucher, 2 of 6. He could have played better, but he did get 5 rebounds offensively, which I really, really like. We saw Juancho get in there and play a little bit. Precious was really, really having a hard time. 3 of 6. He hit 1 3, which was really nice. I love the 3 he hit. 3 rebounds, 7 points, but a minus 10. Precious was really handcuffed by those refs once again. And then, you know, it was just garbage time. Jeff Dowtin, 3 for 7, 7 points, 1 for 1 from 3. He did show some nice stuff too. Jeffrey, he was pretty good in different places. But my 3 stars for the night, Pascal, Jakob, and Malachi. Yeah. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam. Tough loss. Offense was just not clicking. Have to reassess how Mitchell was contained the first 3 games and not this one. What was the difference? At least the whole bench played. Yeah, we did get to see Koloko, and we did get some Wieskamp, and unfortunately, Wieskamp was really bad. Really, really bad with some air balls. And you could tell he was shook a little bit by his confidence because he played so poorly, really, really poorly. But Ron Harper Jr. looked good. And it really kind of from the building up in 905 recently that Ron's played really well. It showed on the court last night, some confidence and him scoring that basket and just some of the things he was doing on the court. And there's a history with him, obviously, with his father playing for the Cavs. So him doing something in a game on the Cleveland court is very special and meaningful. Ron Harper Jr. In fact, I thought they were cheering for him when he came in the game just because those Cavs fans do really like his dad. So, yeah, it was a lot of different issues. I think the biggest difference with Mitchell, once again, is who was not there last night, and that's Fred VanVleet. That really, seriously, he has savviness on defense. We don't even totally understand or realize on how he can stop Donovan in different ways that we just totally, completely lacked. They did not keep track of him very well. And also, it didn't help. He was absolutely on fire. He really was. He was making shots that he probably would miss more often. He was just really on last night is really a big part of it. Just as much as Dame Lillard was on last night also getting his 70-plus points. Well, Donovan Mitchell was in the zone to a degree. And you saw it when he hit a bank shot all of a sudden. And, he's fucking around. He hit a bank. Yeah, he's in the zone. He's in the zone. Once you see that bank, you know he's in the zone. So I really do think it was that Fred's absence really contributed to Mitchell going off in some ways. And definitely the offense was not clicking fiercely. He could have helped with that so much. He's that extra scorer besides Pascal. When none of the other guys can do nothing, there's a ref Hitjob. He can still manufacture points somehow, some way. And we really, really missed it. Really missed it. Logical saying, salute the real ones, Project Truth always. Not going to lie, we see why an experienced offense selector matters. Choosing which offensive action can open up more actions is important. The keys is based on basketball theory. Yeah, Mike's exactly right. At times, Scottie, you're doing good, but in some ways it's not fitting to certain styles of play, the way you like to pass and be a point guard, it doesn't fit sometimes Eastern Conference physical style. And, you can make those thread the needle passes through a lot of guys sometimes, but sometimes it's not going to work. And Cleveland was really on top of things. And we were just not getting the right motions off each other and finding each other with cuts or passing it very crisply or very well. And there was a lot of that. And this is all shit that Fred would have cleaned up and did much better for us if he had showed up and played. And it's horrible. It's horrible. We see how bad our offense has been the last couple games with certain statistics without Fred in it. And in some ways, we're building the case for why he's so essential and important to our team, much to the chagrin of the Fred haters. So once again, I'm not a Fred hater this morning. I'm very much a Fred lover and upset that he didn't show up. He stood us up. It's like we had a date with Fred, and Fred never came to the restaurant. We sat there with the menu, looking at it for hours and waiting for Fred to come sit down at the table. That's how I felt about this last night. Seriously. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Cavs were playing for pride after we led the series 3-0. We can't win top teams when Pascal is our only three-point shooter. We grind on to the next game. Yeah, Gary was taken out of this game inexplicably. Were they just really keying on him defensively and really not letting him do stuff? I mean, listen, Cleveland's had all year to really sort their shit out and get better and better as the year's gone on, as far as their offensive motions, working those two little small guards off big guys, Allen and Mobley. They do that so much smoothly and better in some ways. And then, of course, they're ratcheting up their defense, and they're really kind of figuring out how they can do things the right way. And they had a lot of success with their defense on us. And part of it is they were aggressive, they were physical, and we did not match that energy. Maybe we didn't have it because we were tired from the back-to-back. Is that we just did not match that energy. It's very similar to how we went out in the playoffs last year in the 6th game against Philadelphia. We did not match their energy, and they just beat our ass. Well, that's the similar kind of thing that we can say about last night. We just didn't have the effort. And the referees were not going to allow us to try and violently get back into the effort somehow by being very physical ourselves. They were going to call every little shit and fucking handcuff us, chop our nuts off on defense. They really did. Let's see. Nameless is saying, let's not look too much into that game last night. I like that. There's 100 different ways to dissect it, from the scheduling to the ref selection to shooting to the other team's desperation level and on and on. This is exactly right. It's a perfect storm. It's once again where the ships pass at night. Well, their ship was very desperate. They'd lost 3 in a row, and they wanted to change that very badly. We were feeling good. We had won 4 in a row, and we were tired. Maybe our guards a little let down because of the whole situation. And yeah, these all contribute to what becomes a 25-point loss. Our worst margin of victory loss in a while, where I don't think we lost worse maybe to Memphis in that one game, or New Orleans and Brooklyn. Brooklyn had a blowout on us too. But we've had like 3 or 4 really bad blowouts this year, and this was one of them, this game last night. Let's see. Tom Duke saying, let's grow onward and upward. We've won 6 straight at home. Let's keep that going tomorrow and win a couple in Washington. Look at Tom Duke, just shining a light, being positive in a loss from last night. I like that. He's reminding me that we've won 6 at home. I love that. I love that. That's a great thing to point to. And yeah, we got to beat these teams this week, going out. Chicago and 2 games against Washington. Let's go. Callie is saying it's not the loss so much. It's the way we lost. We looked awful on both ends. Players like Farr and OG need to step up. Like Farr. I'm not sure who Farr is. Maybe it's just a misspelling. Yeah, OG is really kind of hurt still. You can tell. He's really tentative. He's not looking for his shot. He did hit that really cool 3 at the buzzer with the guys right in his face. It's like really hard shot. Yeah, I can make this. But they really don't let him do anything down low. Like, that's the thing. Ed Malloy and Derek Collins, as soon as they see OG down low posting a small guy like Donovan or Darius, if he hits them with any physicality and they flop, they're calling an offensive foul. So he couldn't establish anything down low. And in a way, that's what will open up his outside shot, is he needs to get some shots down near the basket to go in easy. And then it'll make it easier for him to hit outside shots. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Like OG Gary, you meant Gary. That's what you meant with the F. That's Gare. Uh, um, yeah, Gary, it was tough. They just couldn't find him. And then when they found him, he was missing. So in some ways, I don't know what the hell happened with I mean, we didn't get enough production for sure. We can't just have Pascal the only one who's making points. It's really, really bad. Mike's saying the Raps read and react offense is like a fast car with a complex clutch. And some guys can get the car up to certain speeds, but it takes a guy that has experience with the car to go max speed. Yeah. Yeah, I think Scottie's great, and Scottie does a whole lot of great playmaking things. It's just that he's not consistent or experienced enough to handle something like this situation last night. There's a very much high pressure in certain ways. There's pressure from the refs to not do certain things because they're going to call it. And then there's pressure because the other team is really aggressive and physical and really hitting them. Like if you saw the Raptors when they went in the paint and got any in the paint shots, they were getting hit. They were being so dirty, hitting them, and that's why they're missing everything. In fact, we did a little bit of that to New Orleans the other night, and that's part of how we beat the Pelicans. Well, that we were getting that done to us by the Cavs last night. Every single shot Jakob took near the basket, they were pushing him, and he was hitting off. And that's why sometimes there was one shot where he totally missed because they were literally hitting him while he was shooting. Same thing for Scottie, same thing for OG, Pascal. Anyone who went in the paint for the Raptors was getting fouled every single time they shot with the physicalness of the Cleveland Cavaliers, but the refs were allowing it. They were no calling left and right for the Cavs. They did not call a whole bunch of shit that they probably should have. And meanwhile, they're calling us for a whole bunch of shit at the other end. It was really, really bad Hitjob. They started right away, too. Like in the first quarter, the REF Hitjob started. It's not like they even like tried to act like they weren't trying to help the Cavs. They started doing it right away. And it really is like stopping our momentum when we start to get good things going is one of the ref manipulations they do. And that really the biggest key for the weapon that they used for ref manipulation yesterday was the offensive fouls on us. That those are such tide turners. It's like Precious is getting the gumption to try and change things and physically go to the basket and boom, it's offensive foul, go the other way. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks so bad. Monica's saying, keep shooting, Gary. Keep shooting, Gary. We are behind you. That's right, Gary. Keep shooting. I wish you'd been more aggressive in trying to find your shots or just saying, I'm going to take more shots because in some ways you were sheepish and we didn't see anything from you in the first half. And it's too late for you to get into it in the second half. We need you right away to be scoring buckets. That's just part of what you have to do. You're a bucket. We need you to score those KFC buckets, a lot of them. Sue's here. Good to see Sue. Good morning, everyone. That was a tough loss last night. We didn't look very good out there. We look a little confused at times. Let's turn it around for the next one. Yeah. I mean, shell-shocked. I think that's a good word for it. We looked a little shell-shocked. We looked a little incredulous. We looked a little dismayed. We looked a little confused. A little maybe like pissed off. You know, Scottie getting attacked and Nick getting attacked. You know, these were symbols of the very tough dealing with this ref crew. And I knew it. I told y'all when I saw Ed Malloy yesterday morning that they were going to fuck with us. And they very much did. Thanks for the comment, Sue. And play it again, Sue. Check out her YouTube reaction channel. It's good stuff. Good stuff. I was watching Sue last night, and she was reviewing Dan Hill from Toronto. What is it? Sometimes When We Touch. Y'all know that song? Sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much. Did y'all know that the singer of that song is from Toronto and he still lives here to this day? Dan Hill. It's a one-hit wonder. Really cool to see you do that song, Sue, the other last night. I was watching. I catch your content at weird times. I watch it all different. You may have put that one out a while ago, but I'll catch it. Sometimes I watch them like not in order or something like that, but really cool stuff. I like that, Sue, with Dan Hill. All right, let me see what else you guys are saying this morning. Look, good to see so many different names on a day after a loss. We'll put it together and figure out what happened. MSJ saying, well, that was tough, but it's just a loss. I think Fred was missed, but we need to draft a quick defensive guard too. I think people saw Fred is understood by fans to be a key missing part last night. Yeah, well, I guess if we're going to look at bright spots, there really is a lot of evidence to show how important Fred is for our team after last night. And that, anybody who thinks that he's disposable or somebody that we shouldn't value this summer and re-signing, well, you're getting your evidence now of some of the key important things that he does for us. And when we don't have him, we lack. Good comment, MSJ, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I think maybe you're right. Like this draft, maybe we do look for somebody who's a different kind of player than we've been looking for in Vision 6'9", and we get like a baller guard that's a good shooter, also a good defender. That may be very smart. I'm not against this at this point because it is something that seems like we could use more of, especially if we have one guy missing last night and we have nobody else stepping up and doing it. It's not that Jeff Dowtin was horrible. He was very good defensively in certain ways, but there's two little guards on that side, and we needed another little guy to maybe keep a track of the other one. It was because both of them killed us, Darius and Donovan. Donovan for sure, but Darius was killing us too. He was hitting good threes too. That's the thing. They were on fire. Those guys were on fire. And then you set up Jared Allen to go off and get really high percentage shots and get a lot of points. Yeah, we're fucked. We're fucked. And then Evan Mobley's hitting threes on top of that. Okay, yeah, we're really fucked. They didn't even have to use C.D. Osman or anybody up there. They didn't miss Kevin Love last night. That was crazy to me. I was like, man, they're going to miss Kevin Love in there. But no, they didn't miss Kevin Love. No, they didn't. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy how this game went down yesterday. Let's see. Cool Cat saying Fred took the required paternity leave. He wants to prove a point about the point guard position because he sees the smack talk from fans and it strengthens his negotiation. Sky's not ready. He said it before. All right. I love Cool Cat and I almost always agree with her, but I'm not going to agree with her right here. There's no required paternity leave. That's bullshit. Listen, I made it clear to Isaac. Listen, yesterday. Because somebody said on Twitter, and I think that it's funny, but not funny because I'm laughing, but just because it's witty, that somebody said on Twitter, it's like Fred's acting like he had the baby this weekend. And I laughed about it. And then Isaac pointed out, well, that's kind of misogyny. And it's like, he's right. Isaac's right. And I have to agree with that. But in some ways, listen, this is my stance on this. I'm all for paternal leave for pregnancy and after the baby happens in regular life, in real life, for people that work ordinary jobs. I think that the father should be able to take time off and be with the baby when it's young. But Fred's a special case. I'm sorry. His lifestyle that's afforded to him as an NBA player is very lush and luxurious and great. He lives in the lap of luxury. And in some ways, he can spend his time the way he wants to more than other people in this world because they're 9-to-5s. He can actually allocate things with his family easier in some ways, except for when he's on the road. I think this is really pushing it. And if he has his reasoning for why he want to sit out is what you're saying, then fuck him. I'll be pissed off at him for that. He doesn't need to do that. We know how much he's an integral, important part of our team. And if he's trying to punish us and show us, yeah, this is how it is without us, fuck him for that because he's fucking with our record and he shouldn't be doing that. And that will piss me off. If you're right, and that is actually a reason why he wanted to sit yesterday is to prove a point to the fans, fuck him then, because the good ones like me, they're standing up for him will be like, nah, I can't stand up for you anymore because that's really poor judgment. Seriously. Now, once again, if it's because something had to do with the pregnancy and he had to be there because of this, maybe Shantae had a complication. She can't be home to watch the kids. But listen, they have so many caretakers around there. Sue Danforth, they got all these people that can step up and watch these kids and let dad go do his job. Bradley, I know he has a bunch of kids. But does Bradley get paternity leave this long? Can he afford to take this much time off to go and sit with his kids at home? No, he needs to go work for Tada and put food on the table. And that's the problem I have with this. Daddy needs to go to work, kids. And this was the problem yesterday. The daddy needed to go back to work. And if he did it to prove some damn point, fuck him for that. I'll say fuck you, Fred VanVleet, if you're trying to prove a point to the fans by not showing up to Cleveland yesterday. I've said so many things to defend you this year. And if this is the case of what is going on with this, I can't defend you on this. In fact, I'm pissed off at you because the only thing I care about is the Raptors winning. And you not showing up to Cleveland yesterday was a direct contribution to us losing yesterday. I can say this without a doubt that we could have played this better with you there. We may not have won, but at least I can't point to the fact that we needed Fred so bad and he didn't show up. So I don't know. There's no such thing as required paternity leave. As I've said, there's been many players throughout the history of the NBA that have not been there while their child has been born, that they have taken to the court and played while their wife was in labor at the hospital. I know this is for a fact that players have not always gotten the chance to be there for it. So in some ways, maybe he's abusing the new NBA and load management and excuses for not showing up the game. Well, I'm with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards said what he said recently, and I stand by him. I like that young man's attitude about showing up and being at games. And you can make any excuse to not fucking play on any given night. And maybe this is a good excuse to some people, but it isn't to me. It just is not. And as Nick said at the end of his press conference, I would love to have Fred back for the next game. That's the last thing he said to the reporters last night. Yeah, we really hope we have Fred back for Tuesday. Well, what the fuck does that mean? You mean he's just got to leave for however fucking long he wants? Listen, we're in the stretch run. We're trying to fucking make the playoffs, Fred. What the fuck are you doing fucking with our season like this? You said it yourself that every single game now matters going out. Why the fuck are you not playing? You're not hurt. If you were hurt, I'd understand that, but you're not fucking hurt. Listen, daddy's got to go to work. I'm sorry, y'all. He needs to be fucking at work. It's just how it is. Oh my gosh. Lion Hunter's saying, I have to disagree, bro. I don't think Fred playing last night would have made any difference. The officials had that game predetermined. There was no chance. Well, he'd help our chances at least. He would help our chances at least. Our offensive system just didn't look very clear or like orderly. And he at least does that. It may be very well be true that that's a scheduled loss and we're going to take it anyway. But to me, it's about showing commitment in some ways. Sure, I want him to be committed to his family first and foremost, but the time has been allotted. The baby came probably on Friday. Why is he not showing up for the game on Sunday? Seriously, the baby probably came on Friday. I can understand taking Saturday off as his birthday. There's a back-to-back. I can rationalize all that, but there's 2 games this weekend. He needed to show up to one, and that was the one last night. He may not have added up to winning. It may have been that Donovan was going to still be so unstoppable and making these crazy-ass threes last night. But I don't like that the question is there. I don't like that it's left open. I don't like that Fred hating Twitter can have a bunch of fuel for their fire at this point. Cowboys saying, just saying, Lex, I bet you the bank that Freddie wanted to be there. I think that his wife told him to stay. Happy wife, happy life, they say. I can understand all that, but fuck, y'all get the lifestyle you get from him working hard and playing for the Raptors. Don't forget that. Seriously, I think too many players are too fucking cushy at this point. It's the NBA. There's 82 games. Playing the fucking games. I'm serious. I can understand happy wife, happy life. I know. Trust me, I was married at one point, and life was a lot easier when she was happy, for sure. But, I know you guys have a different perspective than me. Bradley's about to have another child himself in April. And I don't know how he deals with that birth with his work. I'm sure they're nice and they let him go and be there for the birth. But does he have the next day off? Does he get the next week off? I don't know. Maybe he does. But to me, this is crazy because the NBA players have so many days off in their lives for the whole 365 days of the year. I know they work out and they work every day, and some guys say no day off, but they still have the chance with their free time to put their family involved in the middle in some places. And think about when he had Fred Jr. When he had Fred Jr. in the middle of the playoffs, did he fucking miss any games because of that baby? No, he didn't. So that's what I'm saying. There's no. Plus, all right, first of all, it's not his first child. If it was like his first child is really special in that way, I can understand in some ways. But this is his third kid. He's been through this system and this thing that's happened with the baby coming before. And like I said, did he take this time off when Fred Jr. came in the middle of the playoffs? No, he didn't. So that's what I'm saying. This doesn't make any fucking sense to me that he would miss 3 games for the birth of his third child. That's too many games. I can get behind 1 for sure. 2's fine, but 3 is too much. I'm sorry, that is a little too much, and you're abusing the power of you being able to take that time off. And is Shante telling him that? Well, Shante, do you want the Raptors to win? Do you want them to do well? No, I guess not. Well, then maybe we don't want y'all to be all around for next year. Because that's the way I'm starting to look at this. Because I worry about Fred's commitment to us winning at this point. This is what it tells me at this point. I look at it from the Raptors team, from the team. I'm not for the individuals first. I'm for the team and what's best for the Raptors. And Fred not showing up yesterday was not good for the Raptors. And it sends the wrong message to Raptors Nation that he doesn't give a shit. that he's like, oh, I'd rather be with my family and with the kid. Okay, I can respect that. Sure, people can like that. But to me, it also fucking pisses me off because I'm a Raptors fan. I want to win. You know, there's Laker fans that are Jewish that said they will sell the state of Israel back to Palestine to win in the Lakers championship. That's how dedicated they are to fucking want to win. Well, I'm crazy like that too. And you know, this gets in between us winning this decision. It pisses me off. I'm sorry. It just does. You know, I don't know how Bradley's going to handle paternity leave when this fourth child comes in April. You know, I don't know if he gets this time off from his employer or if he can afford to because of, you know, needing to keep food on the table. So that's what I'm saying here. Shirkan's saying Fred has to be back for the Bulls game at home. Next 3 games have to be wins. Being one game over 500 is necessary for the remainder of the coming road trip. I'm totally with you. We could have been 500 at the game last night, after the game last night. Now we're 2 games below 500 again. We got to keep going. I know it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and this is just another step back in the recent winning that we've had recently. But yeah, we can't have too many of these step backs for the rest of the season. We really, really can't. And if Fred is not there for Chicago's game, I'm sorry. I'm going to be so fucking pissed at him. If he is not ready to play on Tuesday for some fucked up reason, he is not in our lineup on Tuesday night, I am going to be, in some ways, I'm going to be like, yeah, I don't want Fred on our team anymore. And I know that goes against everything that I've been saying this year, but it's showing a lack of commitment to the team when we really need him the most. And that's what's pissing me off. Callie's saying Fred should have been there. I have 3 kids and totally agree. He pissed me off too. Yeah, seriously. It's like he's abusing their niceness. And if it's a leverage thing for his contract and everything, fuck you, Fred, for this, because you're hurting the team short term for your own financial gain. I don't like that. In some ways, I don't like that. In some ways, I am, you know, seeing what these people have said about Fred all year. I'm like, maybe this is true what these motherfuckers I've been defending him against are saying, that he is selfish and he doesn't give a shit about this team as much as I thought. You know, because that's the message he's sending me right now. Nameless is saying, that's right, Lex. That upgraded foul after the challenge was more about the refs' control issues than helping us. That's exactly right, Nameless. It's like, you're trying to show me up. Ed Malloy's like, you're trying to show me up, Cleveland, JB Bickerstaff? Well, let me go look at this. Oh, actually, he elbowed him in the face, and there's aggressive, flagrant foul, 2 free throws for the Raptors, and they get the ball. Yeah, next time you'll think twice about challenging me. Cleveland Cavaliers. It's totally true. These guys are arrogant like this. Like that, if you challenge them in certain ways, that's why Scottie got that tech. He didn't even barely do anything. He just went like this. He didn't say anything. He just went like this. And he got a technical from Derek Collins, old surly ass Derek Collins. You could tell that dude's an asshole. You see Derek Collins on the court, the way he looks and the way he's reffing, you know that dude's an asshole. Fucking asshole. Oh my gosh. Fun guy saying, hey, bro, nothing to defend friend on. He hasn't done anything wrong. He had a child and he has been out because of it. I don't think he's done anything wrong for anyone to need to defend him. Laugh out loud. Well, I mean, listen, we can all look at this in different ways. My perspective, once again, is team first. And he hurt the team last night by not being available. And I know that's true. And I can't defend him on this because it's like, dude, we needed you. You're an NBA player. You were paid to play in NBA games. NBA games happen 82 times a year. You don't have to show up every 300 days a year like everybody else does in your life. You know, you get to show up like 82 times a year. Listen, you can schedule that good, nice cuddling time with all 3 of your kids on the day you get back. You just needed to go to work. Daddy needed to go to work. Yes, just like you told Fred that morning when you're getting the doorway, Daddy has to go to work, Fred Jr. I want to come with you, Dad. Okay, well, maybe you can come to the next game, is what you said to him. Well, Daddy needed to go to work yesterday. He just did. I'm sorry. There's no good excuse for this unless it's a medical complication that happened and it's scary or something like that. But that picture that they released this weekend does not tell us that. It tells everything's fine, warm and cozy, baby's healthy, everything's fine. Okay, baby's safely there. The men go to war. That's what happens next. Baby is safe and home and healthy, all 10 fingers and toes. Boom, go to war, go to work, go get your lunch pail and go to work, Dad. That's just how I feel about it. I mean, I'm kind of pissed because, like I said, I've been defending this guy towards other people like he shall not be named all season. And in some ways, I'm kind of pissed at Fred like they would be pissed at him. And this is crazy. Some people are saying this is what will make you turn on him. Yeah, because my allegiance is to the Toronto Raptors, is to the Raptors winning. It's not to any single player. I'm not like he who shall not be named is just like all about Scottie. No, Scottie, I love Scottie. Scotty's a great guy. And I know Scottie real well, but I'm not going to pick him over the Raptors. I'm not going to pick Pascal over the Raptors. I'm not going to pick OG over the Raptors. I'm not going to pick Fred over the Raptors. The Raptors always number one in my book, the whole organization. And when one of our players is not doing things in the best interest of our team, then I fucking get pissed at them. Seriously. This is why I was pissed at Justin last year, because what he was doing was not in the best interest of our team when he was signing people in live interviews. This is, I draw lines. It's like, you're hurting the team. Then I start not liking you to a degree. And in some ways, that's what I'm saying. He needs to come back and kick some ass and get us some W's. And then I can maybe start to forgive him for this shit. And maybe I'll forget about it in like a couple of days. And it won't be a big deal. But today I'm sitting in it. And I'm just saying, I'm really let down by you, Fred. Seriously. Hugh's saying Scottie running the starting lineup at point is painful. So much ISO, ball wasn't moving. Pascal having to force shots because the rest of the team doesn't know how to cut or do anything at all. Yeah, Hugh's right. Like it just stagnated and it was so difficult. And they were really good at rotating on their side. As far as like they really utilized those two big guys down low to really cut the paint off from us. And then, their guards were very aggressive and they were doing different things that were really smart. Darius Garland's a very good defensive guard. Now, Donovan isn't as much, but Darius is very feisty and pestering. And it showed last night. They were getting transition threes and we weren't finding Donovan and it absolutely killed us. Scottie's going to get better and he's going to be fine. It's just that they're growing pains. He's in development and we can't expect him to be perfect right away. But I do really like the fact that he's getting these opportunities, but against a very tough opponent like Cleveland last night, he was kind of exposed in some ways. And I don't like that. Seymour saying, never been robbed in my life, but now I know how it feels. We have played the most 8 versus 5 games this season. Seymour. Yeah. I know it really pisses off Seymour when the refs are like this against us. And it's tough. I mean, listen, we've had a lot of disappointing, sad games this season. This has been a tough year. We've had all kinds of just really like, this sucks. Last minute losses, weird, fucked up blowouts, really downer kind of games. When we leave them, we're just kind of like, oh, fuck, this sucks. And this one is kind of like that still. But in some ways it isn't because everything is on the up and up and trending up. It's just that we have the reminder of, there are forces out there that will make it harder for us. And those are the referees. We can't think that it's just a level playing field. That's why we have to be that much better. We have to be so much better. We could have won the game yesterday, but we had to be so good to do it. Overcome everything, the whistle, everything. Is the whistle's not going to change if Nick Nurse gets a tech and he calls them out on it and he's yelling at them and they don't listen and they don't change any of the calls afterwards. Sometimes he gets that. That's a very smart tech for him to get early in the game because it shows that he cares. And sometimes they will readjust the whistle according to what the coach said that got the tech, but they didn't. And that was because they had very explicit orders on how they were supposed to referee the game last night. Let Cleveland have as much contact and do whatever they want physically with the Raptors, chop their nuts off, and don't let them do anything themselves. Let's see. Tom saying, when Big Four got his tech right after Nick, the whole team was rattled by the Zebras and the scheduled loss was solidified. I was hoping that challenge call was the turnaround, but it didn't help in the end. Yeah, well, that's the thing. The refs can really stifle momentum at any given time. And their weapon of choice yesterday was the offensive foul. That as soon as we were kind of getting a little bit of a run, starting to garner it or something like that, they'll either give you an offensive foul, which totally like makes you second guess how much contact you can use on the offensive end without getting an offensive foul. So in some ways you chop OG's nuts off, you chop Precious's nuts off, you chop Scottie's nuts off, because these guys can't go in there and use their physicality against the physicality of the defense in a way that they'll make shots. It's a very simple formula of how you can stop a team from being able to win is you don't call it fairly the contact. And the other way they could do it is, we need to take a timeout to go study a play on the camera, on the TV. is that can be a momentum stopper too. You'll see refs do that sometimes. Oh, officials review. And it could be because the Raptors just rattled off 2 or 3 baskets and they're on a roll and they're on a run. And well, they want to kill it by going and taking time to go watch the TV screen for like a minute or two. These are very insidious ref manipulation ways they do it. And yeah, we saw a couple last night and we couldn't shake it off. There was too much to overcome, whether it's the motivation and the determination of the Cavs team, the superstardom of Donovan really playing at a high level, the referees handicapping us, our tired fatigue from the night before playing against Detroit the day before, and then lacking our number one captain, our point guard. These are all part of the stew of a loss. MSJ saying, as I said yesterday, these players are taking too many days off these days. But don't get emotional on Fred. He cares about the money most. As for Scottie Barnes, he's going to take a full season. Give him time. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't like this. Like, there is a whole knock on the NBA players that y'all are missing too many games. And that's what I'm saying. This, in some ways, I know it's a good reason in some ways, but it's a little bit abusing the situation, I think, in some ways. Nako's saying, do we still have to go against the Nets? If we do, I'm not worried at all. No, we played all the games against the Nets. We had to play them with 2 Hall of Famers, all 4 games, and we were done with them by the first week of December, Gerald. We don't play the Nets again for the rest of the season. Do we not get to play them in their new state? They're easier to beat state. And in fact, they swept us this year because we didn't get the opportunity to play them in this situation. Yeah. So that's like I said, there's all kinds of shit that's been stacked against us all year. The schedule has been stacked against us all fucking year. And that was a scheduled loss yesterday. In some ways, they wanted us to come in there tired from a Detroit game, beat up, an early start the day before, and come into Cleveland. And we looked flat. We really did. Let Me Cook saying, all we can hope for is to win, play in, because there is a clear gap from us to good teams. I thought this easy stretch of games would help Scottie, but field goal percentage is 39%, 33 from 3, and 79 from the line in February. You know, I know that that's something that a lot of people are trying to say today, is that we can play bad teams and compete and beat their ass. But when we play the top teams like Milwaukee, Boston, and Cleveland, we can't beat them. That's bullshit. Like I said, this is just a everything all at once thing yesterday. We can beat Cleveland in a 7-game series still. It's just that we have to have the right rest, the right motivation, the right personnel, and the right people coming with the right kind of like energy and like on defense and rebounding and all that. We were so flat yesterday. You can't gauge it on that. And Cleveland played at their highest level in some ways yesterday. So I don't know. I can't say that there's a clear gap between. I think that you're going to be surprised how we play some of these really good teams on our way out of the season. That, you know, when we go out west and we play Denver, we might kick their ass in one of the games we play them. And then also the Lakers and the Clippers, we may have success against them. That's where I want to, let's take each of these good games for the rest of the season one by one. And by the end of the season, when we play Boston and Milwaukee, we may be very much in a good place and we may be super competitive with them. So don't count this out. Once again, the shooting has not come around. And last night was a really bad night for our shooting. In fact, because you brought up so many team stats, Let Me do the team stat overview for last night's game real quick and how we did. We did get more shots on field goals than them, which is good. 9 more field goals, but they made 8 more field goals, even though like we got 9 more shots. That's how bad we shot compared to them, because we shot 39% and they shot 52%. They were absolutely scorching, and we couldn't buy a basket because everything we shot near the basket, we were getting hit, and it was just slightly off and rimming out. That was a big part of that phenomenon. And then, of course, double us on 3-pointers. And that's a huge part of it right there. Donovan, with the 3-pointers specifically, 18 threes for them, 9 for us. They shot 50% at 3, and we shot 36%. So they shot really way better than us in all those. The free throws were pretty even. And in fact, I can't get mad at them for the free throws last night. They only missed 3 free throws. So they did a really good job on the free throw line. Compared to recent games, and that really wasn't totally the factor because they missed 2, and we made the same amount of threes. So both teams shot around 80% at 3. That's not bad. The rebounds were pretty even, which is pretty good considering that they were kind of killing us on rebounds in the first half. We kind of evened it out by the end of the game, and we did get 13 offensive rebounds, which was really good. The assists, horrible once again, only 19 assists for the Raptors. Meanwhile, the other side gets 31 assists. That's the sign of good ball movement and sharing the ball and finding good high percentage shots and shooting 50%. Our assist numbers will be helped by shooting numbers going up because obviously you don't get an assist, the guy misses the shot. So we want to get our assist numbers up because it's indicative that we're shooting better. We only had 4 steals, which is crazy, and they had more steals than us. That's not normal. The turnovers ended up being even by the end of the game, but they were beating us in the turnovers for most of the game. And then they won the points in the paint. So they just won way too many categories. The shooting was way too much better than ours. And then, different other important categories were just not won by us. It's just, it sucks so bad. Mike's saying the Cavs guards were getting penetration and forcing Poeltl to choose whether to stay on the lob rebound threat or the guard. We weren't able to stick to the guards and limit the space for driving and shooting. Yeah, I mean, they just had a good game plan and they executed really well. JB Bickerstaff has learned from the other 3 games against us this season, and he probably was working on this game plan for a while. And he's like, yeah, I'm really chomping at the bit to get some get back against the Raptors. I don't like that we've lost to them all 3 games so far this season, and I want to make sure we don't. They didn't want to get swept. There was a lot of gumption to not get swept yesterday. Monique saying Jeff over Malachi any day of the week. Way to go, Jeff. Yeah, I'm with you on that, but they're different looks and they're totally different like flavors of ice cream at this point. Jeff really is a good backup point guard, a good director, a good field general. He's a good a manufacturer of basket like in the tough period. Like there's some moves he's been doing where it's like, wow, he's really being gutsy and he's going for it and he's finding success. Whether it's him trying to make his own shot all of a sudden on offense, I like that. I like that. I think he's a pretty good shooter in different ways, and that I don't have problems with him trying to shoot like he would down in 905. Now, he may not make as many in certain ways, but I like that he's aggressive on offense because we definitely need more people scoring, and him looking to want to score is good. As far as Malachi, his role now is really, he's like, you know what? And this is why you put him in at the end a little earlier than the rest of the bench. Is there was a little bit of a period in the fourth quarter that he was giving these guys a chance. I really feel like he went up to Scottie and Pascal and he said, listen, you guys, I'm not going to play you for the rest of the game because I'm giving up on this game because the lead is too much for Cleveland. And Pascal and Scottie said, no, give us one more chance to get out there and try it. Because that's why we saw them get reinserted in the fourth quarter when it seemed like it was out of hand. I think it was like our guys literally told Nick, give us one more chance as the starters, Nick. And he gave them very little a chance. It was a turnover, and they came back and ran it back. And then he pulled all of them out and brought in the bench. But while he was still trying to get them out of the mud, Malachi saw minutes with Scottie and Pascal. And it was really because in some ways he should be viewed as like this crossover, like high, crazy 70-point scorer that he was last off season when he was doing like the games, like the one here in Toronto, the pro-ams. That he is a scorer and he can fill it up real quick. And if we're behind by a whole lot of points, well, we can put him out there and hopefully he can just get a whole bunch of points fast with threes and stuff. He's not a backup point guard. He's a quick scorer. He's supposed to be like a microwave, like Vinny Johnson, score a lot really quick off the bench. And that's really what his role is at this point. They were hoping something similar with Joe when they put Joe out there, but Joe failed. He had a couple opportunities and he just did not hit them. He did not look good out there. And that's too bad. But that was his opportunity to grab the grass ring and try and say, look, I can do this, Nick, and you should play me more. But he did not do it. And that's too bad because I was really hoping he would come out there and show some good stuff so we'd get to play him more. But it didn't happen. It's too bad. Seymour saying teams play us tough, yet we get hit with the touch fouls. Yeah, it really is. Like they really do have a different way of calling contact between teams. Daddy's saying Fred not being there was not the issue. We knew the refs were going to carry out silvers in the league's mandate 1 and 2. The Raptors are back to the ISO heavy, no movement offense. Yeah. I mean, I can get behind the ref mandate from Adam Silver, and I can also get behind like the lack of movement and too much relying on the ISO once again. Greg had that great piece recently on the Gubstown Clink about the ISO and how it benefit us down the road. But it didn't benefit us in this situation. We really did need them playing off each other. In some ways, the connection between Poeltl and Pascal wasn't as strong as it needed to be. And then, listen, Scottie, you're going to have to, I know you were really trying to force the ball to OG at certain times. And there were problems with that. Like you were really trying to force it to him. Whereas like you guys really got to look at what they're giving you and look at the weak spot in the defense for Cleveland and really execute against that. And that's part of the problem is like we're not reading their defense right or finding the holes in it to execute in that. And maybe they were just playing such good defense, there were no holes, and that they had so much trouble just trying to get in the paint and get a high percent shot. And then the outside shots aren't hitting as well because we're not a very good outside shooting team. We have to establish inside paint presence, make high percentage shots, and then the outside shots are easier, but it just didn't happen that way. It's crazy. It sucks. And yeah, I got that red face just like Seymour Pape in his little emoticon there. All right, let's see. Cool Cat saying, Lex, Pascal had no help. Everyone was off. So the Cavs just loaded up on Pascal. He can't beat an entire team in ref Hitjob. He would have 4 guys defending him, holding and pushing him out of the air. Yeah. I actually have a lot of respect for Pascal when he has to play in these kind of situations. And it's sad because since we've come back from the All-Star break, more often than not, it seems like Pascal's the only guy doing anything for us. And I don't like that. You guys need to step up. OG, I know you just came back from injury, but you need points. We need to get you points. And Scottie, you could step up and do more. The knock is you disappear for a half and then you play really good in this last half or something like that. We need you for full 48, producing winning plays in each and every moment, whether they're scoring or not. You just got to do it, Scott. We need you so bad. And Gary, we are absolutely essential for us to carry water and keep up with scoring with other teams. We need your points. We really, really do. And I agree, Cool Cat. I have so much admiration for the job that Pascal is trying to do in those kind of conditions. And it really does show us, wow, he is a badass because he really is carrying us by himself like it was. Now, let's see. Space Cadet saying, I have no doubt Fred will be ready to go on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure, too. Like, it'd be ridiculous. It'd be honestly ridiculous if he's absent once again. And yeah, I mean, if it is like that, I'll be like, what the fuck? Like, seriously, I think we'll all be a little bit like, what the fuck, Fred? Seriously. What the fuck, Fred? Seriously. Cowboy saying, I got to go. Much love to you, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Everyone keep your heads up. It's game 1. It's one game on the next, everyone on to the next. Keep it positive. Fuck the haters. Let's go, Raptors. We'll get our revenge in the playoffs. You go, Bradley. Always a bastion of positivity and hard work. We love you, Bradley. Be safe out there at work and stuff like that. And honestly, we really do appreciate your positivity. Honestly, I know I'm maybe a little bit today, but I got the Angry Beaver shirt on, and we lost, so I'm pissed off. Of course, I'm pissed off. Shere Khan saying Cavs playing at Boston next game. This time they'll be on the wrong side of the ref job. Raps have to get more wins to get some respect from the refs. Yeah, I'd like to think that that's how it works, Shere Khan, but it isn't. We could be the top team in the East with the record, and it still doesn't mean they're going to call it right for us. I've been paying attention to this kind of shit for a few years, and it doesn't matter if we're the NBA champions. It doesn't matter if we're the number 1 record in the Eastern Conference. They're still going to fuck us over, partly because we're Canada's team. And this is totally true. The Cavs will show up in Boston, and they'll get the reverse kind of treatment. The help and the hand-holding will be with the Celtics in this case. Ed Malloy is such a suspicious coach. I mean, such a suspicious ref. This is 2 games this season now. I can honestly say that he's stolen or at least had a huge part in manipulating for them to us to lose. And we see him maybe 4 times a year. Well, half those games are ref hit jobs. He did 2 to us last year too. And they were both years he's done a ref hit job when Boston's been involved. He very much was involved in a ref hit job with Boston earlier this year already. And he did a ref hit job for Boston last year to help them also beat us. So this is so true what Shere Khan's saying. And it's so true. G saying 19 assists versus 31. When Scottie plays point, they lag off him and double Siakam and even Gary. Modern NBA guards need to shoot. This pass first is and only point guard is no longer a thing unless team is full of shooters. Having said that, like that, Scottie is getting reps. Growth is painful at times, and this will help the future. Short-term pain for long-term gain. All right, well, in this situation, this is what I feel like Scott needs to do. If he sees them lagging off of him, of course, take that shot and shoot it. Even if you miss,
If you keep shooting it, they'll guard you more honest down the road. Now, if they're laying off you, that doesn't mean you have to shoot it necessarily. They lay off you enough, Scott. You can go bursting towards the basket and try and get a closer shot that's closer. It may be that they know because they scouted you that you're super, super unselfish, and the percentage of you passing it is much higher than you trying to drive or shoot yourself. So that may be part of the reason that this is happening is the defensive scheme is really guarding you for the pass because you're too unselfish. Well, that means you need to be selfish then and make them pay for not guarding you correctly. There was that moment against New Orleans the other day where JV did not respect your space at the three-point line. You said something to him, and then you nailed a three over his head. That's what I'm talking about, Scott. They don't respect you defensive-wise, and they're doubling down and shadowing over on Pascal. Don't try and force the ball to Pascal. Take the damn ball yourself and dissect them either because you can do it either way. I don't mind you taking the outside shot even if you miss it because you need to make them respect you that you're going to take it. And then if you don't want to do it that way, if you got a little burst and you want a higher percentage shot, you really want to make a basket, take it inside and get that high percentage. And, hopefully either you make it or you get fouled and you get put on the line. But that's the answer to that. He needs to recognize better and maybe be a bit more selfish. It could be that team game plans have read him in the scouting report as being so unselfish. Don't play him to try and score. Play him for the pass. So cover up anybody he's trying to pass it to. So he's got to adjust in that way. That means you need to shoot, Scottie. Logical saying the Cavs' weakness is Mitchell defending, and two guards are needed to take advantage of Mitchell and negate Garland with two dynamic guards. Yeah. It's part of our keys to success with containing them earlier this year is that kind of stuff. That backcourt of Fred and Gary really does match up against them really well. But when you don't have Fred, it doesn't do that. Oh my gosh. Nameless is saying that was the biggest bright spot when you saw all that youth pour off the bench. Harper, Koloko, Banton, our future brighter than a yellow hat with an orange belt. That's a weird statement. I don't know if I know that saying. Does that have something to do with Curious George? I don't know. Curious George, you made me think of the man with the yellow hat. It was fun to see all those guys get in there and do stuff. I mean, I could look at them just a little bit and nitpick their box score as far as what they did. Thad came in and did like a 0 minute, like just step in. Hi, I'm getting in the game so everybody gets to play. But he took him right out, right immediately. It was crazy. Juancho really, whatever. He just came in. It was kind of funny to see him out there as a leader. But, of course, they're going up against guys like Robin Lopez and Danny Green on the other side. Of course, Danny Green comes in, former Raptor, and he gets a 4-point play on Delano. Delano comes out late to hit him, and then he hits the shot and makes a free throw, old-fashioned 4-point play for Danny Green off the bench. And it's kind of weird. I was thinking about this. It's like we've seen Danny Green a couple times in the last year, whether we saw him on Philadelphia in the playoffs last year, and then we've seen him on Memphis earlier this year a couple times, and now we see him on Cleveland yesterday. And to Scottie, that's got to really symbolize, wow, this league really can be in flux. There's this guy that gave me his championship jacket from the 2019 Raptors championship. And I seen him in different jerseys like crazy just in my little bit of time in the NBA. Now, all of a sudden, here he is on Cleveland. That's just the reality of the business of the NBA. And if you're Danny Green, you've got a certain attractive trade contract that you kind of get passed around all over the league. But he's that kind of guy. He's always got his clothes in a suitcase. I don't know if he's ever actually had a place. He's very much like I'm very much a nomad around the league. But that was fun to see that, and especially Ron Harper Jr. Like I said, Ron has played so well for the 905 recently, and it translated on the court. This is something, the reason why Jeff Dowtin, Ron Harper Jr., these guys play well on 905. They look better on the main roster when they get their chances. That's the whole reason why Jeff Dowtin is in the rotation right now. Now, Malachi, you could learn from this and being more consistent. Koloko, you're being pretty consistent. Your time will come. You just need more time down there. Playing a lot of minutes and trying not to foul out and getting a high score and rebounding and shot blocking a lot. But it was fun to see those guys out there. And yeah, it's always neat to see a little bit of the garbage time with those guys. It sucks though that we lost. Daddy's saying something is off with OG. I think he has a lower body injury as well that we're not privy to. He's not moving right. I have a feeling that his hip is a problem again. I think you're right. Like, he doesn't look exactly right. He doesn't look exactly healthy. His wrist is definitely bothering his shot. Like his shot isn't as we just need him to get healthy and right again because we do really need him. And the other thing that you can kind of tell maybe what you're saying is right, Daddy, is because his defense isn't as on level as he usually is. Like he's the guy that usually shuts down Donovan. He's the guy who kind of cuts his water off. And in some ways, we're not getting OG is the premium defender one-on-one that he always does. Like that's the baseline of really good stuff that he gives us. And we're not getting that from him either. We're not getting the offensive stuff from him or the premium defensive shut down the best guy on the other side of the court from us. Because he is the guy who was part of the reason why Mitchell didn't play well against us earlier this season. And he didn't do that this time. They didn't find him. I don't know what it is. I think you may be right that there may be another injury other than the wrist, and it's hurting his mobility. And he's not the premium all end all be all defender that he normally is right now. He's not effective because we're not canceling out somebody like Donovan Mitchell on the other side who should have no points, or very much half the points he normally gets. G saying Daddy is 100% injured in my opinion. OG is I believe his wrist is still not properly healed. And yes, the hip or thigh has some tightness. Yeah, I think we can see this. We definitely know the wrist is hurt because he holds it. He'll be in the middle of the game. He's holding his wrist a little bit. He's on the bench. He's holding his wrist a little bit. Sucks. I wish OG could just catch a break on a season and just have a healthy season. There's always something somewhere that messes him up. It sucks. Seymour saying it seems Juancho is out of the loop. He's really insurance. Like him and Thad really are vet, older, like capable insurance. I really like how Mike portrayed this this weekend in his release on Saturday about the salary cap and what we're doing with the different pieces. Really illustrating the what we're doing with Thad and Otto's contracts and Juancho's to a degree, as far as like these guys are, they're great to have around as roster filler, as vets, and they're useful. They're not, people are really developing. They're just people we can throw in as like people that take up time in a capable way or play on the court in capable ways. But also they're not essential people for our future as far as the core. And that if we need to make moves with the salary cap to get more money, we can let, Thad or Otto go. And that will be a little relief with the money. And then Mike explains like who we replace with the different kind of player that would come in. Really, really good content, Mike. And I really appreciate your drop from Saturday. And that those guys are similar, the three of them, Otto, Thad, and Juancho, older vets on our team that are, in some ways, they're expendable. They really are. And they can be upgraded with either like getting less money on the cap to help us with room to maneuver, or we do have a young developing guy that we want to bring in or a draft pick, and then we just slough them off. And then they're just not on the team anymore. So that's kind of where they're at this point. And Juancho's the third one. I mean, Otto is kind of because he's hurt, but that's what it is. That's with Juancho. But he was very capable filling when we needed him for time earlier this season when a lot of guys were hurt, and we just needed a smart big that isn't going to cause too many mistakes, just play solid, but maybe not contribute a whole lot. And that's really what his role's been this year. David saying, yeah, he was injured on that last play of the half. G agreed. Will take 2 days for the news to come out, likely, as he is stubborn. You're talking about OG? Oh, yikes. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll monitor the twit heads today and see if there's any noise coming out about OG and his availability for a Chicago game. Hopefully he just keeps playing. But if he is hurt and he needs some rest, give him that time. Cool Cat saying, I'm worried about Gary Trent Jr. When he's off, he's not able to contribute in other ways. He's not able to beat guys off the dribble to get to the rim. At 6'5" is tough. He's not a playmaker, defense low. Yeah, he was struggling. He tried to get in the lane, but once again, he's getting hit. He's not getting any calls. It's the same as all of them. And yeah, it's tough. Like if he's not playing offensively, well, he better be overplaying it on defensive, but he couldn't even do that either. Yeah. I don't know. In some ways, like I know that he was playing really intensely this whole season, partly because of his situation of being possibly traded or, because of the contract this summer. But I think with the trade deadline passed, some of the pressure on him about being moved from us is gone. And maybe he's let up a little bit on his intensity of how intense he was playing so well. I hate to think that, but that could be partly the contributing factor with Gary is that the trade deadline passed and he didn't get moved. He didn't have to worry about it anymore. He kind of maybe breathed a sigh of relief, and his game isn't as intense, partly because of that intensity that he had leading up to it. So maybe he needs to get that back. Maybe he needs to trick his mind and say, you know what? I can't rest my laurels and think everything's all right, because I still have to figure out how my contract's going to go this summer. So you should still be playing at a very high level and kicking a lot of ass, Gary, and being motivated in that kind of way. Because I don't think he's playing as hard as he was like a couple weeks ago. All of a sudden, it's kind of part of it. Sheer Khan saying Fred knows how to be a floor general and communicate, call out blown coverage. I love Scottie, but he's just not there yet. More of a point forward at this time and good at finding players cutting to the rim. Yeah. Yeah, there's differences in what they're doing. And some of what Fred does isn't flashy at all, but it's very fundamental and good and necessary and what we need. Like just steady, his nickname, Steady Freddy. We just need that steadiness of guiding the ship. And we really missed it yesterday. We really, really did. Scotty's going to have a different kind of way of guiding the ship, and it'll morph and change over time, and it'll get more steady in its own way, but it won't be exactly like how Fred does it. But until it gets more like mistake proof, a little bit more like accurate, then, we're going to see problems with our offense running it, because in some ways these guys don't know exactly how Scottie wants to do things to a degree. G saying Hawks destroyed the Cavs just recently. Teams live and die by the three. This leads to blowout wins and losses. You see crazy scores now as a result. Yeah. Yeah. The Hawks handled them really good, but of course they've had a lot of turmoil with their coach situation, and maybe Trae Young has some things to prove because Nate McMillan just got fired, and they hadn't brought in Quinn Snyder yet. So maybe, he had some statement game that he wanted to make, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. And now that they've hired Quinn Snyder to a 5-year contract, he's going to show up and coach their game on Tuesday. But yeah, they had a little bit of an axe to grind, the Hawks. And they've been sliding a little bit, so it really is important for them to win games too, because they're in a similar situation to us. Let's see. Space Cadet saying Gary is learning how difficult it is to be the primary three-point threat, something Fred deals with every game. Yeah, that's totally true too. Like I can give that credit. That Freddie is so hard for him to operate because they really do key on him, just like Siakam. And that when you slept into that spot of being focused on, like Siakam had to when Leonard left, you get way more attention all of a sudden, and it's harder to operate. And that may be very well true. What's basically saying is that Fred not being out there to take some of the attention hurt Gary's game last night for sure. Trevor saying it was a perfect setup for the Raptors to play 12 o'clock on Saturday and then play Cleveland at 6 because I wanted to win. I really thought that was enough of a difference in time. That's a day and a half, really, not just a day like a normal back-to-back. And the travel between the two cities isn't that bad. There's so many different things about it that could be good. And I even heard that a lot of Raptor fans spent the whole weekend with the team. They went to Detroit and went to the game then, and they didn't come back. They stayed down there, and they went to Cleveland and went to the other game. Well, the atmosphere in the Cleveland building was very like anti-Raptors in a lot of ways, not like the Pistons building where we could take it over and maybe be half our crowd and their crowd. Well, there was very much a very strong Cleveland contingency at the Cavs game last night, and they're angry at us. They don't like us. In some ways, I was worried for the safety of some of the Raptors fans that were in Cleveland last night. In fact, Matt Devlin alluded to it during the game, saying, I hope everybody can get home safe from coming to Cleveland to watch this game. Because, Cleveland isn't that far off from Philadelphia in some of the ways their fans can act out of pocket. And God forbid any kind of weird shit happen after that game with Raptor fans coming out of that building and just trying to get home. Because Cleveland's a little bit of a rough city. And there are people there that are very stupid and will do stupid shit that may not be like the nicest with fans. Fan nations can be very ugly. Philadelphia fan nation's getting put on blast by Jaylen Brown for telling him on his way out that they wanted him to tear his ACL. And they're getting put on blast for being really ugly. But there's problems with that. And I was worried because there was something in that air in the Cleveland arena last night where they wanted blood. They very much did not want to get swept. The fans were mirroring the team with that energy. And I felt a little scared for some of the Raptor fans that were in the midst of everybody there in that arena. So, but I'm sure everything worked out all right. I haven't heard anything crazy. So hopefully nothing weird happened. G saying Allen was doing illegal screens all night, leaning into players. It was nuts. Yeah, I noticed that too. That's what I'm saying. It's a two-way. It's not fair. There's two different whistles on two different ends of the court, and that is definitely something that was going on that they were letting go in all kinds of ways. Meanwhile, what was Jakob able to do in that kind of way? It'd be crazy. All right, let me see. There's still a lot of comments. I'm gonna make sure I'll get everything in here. All right, wait. All right. Okay, there it is. Seymour is saying Cavs had 2 all-star caliber guards. We had none, plain and simple. We got outplayed. The matinee game didn't help either. Yeah. We were tired. We actually showed the fatigue of a back-to-back in this game. We were so flat with our energy in all kinds of different ways. And they were ready. They were very much ready. They were hungry, and they seriously, they did not want to get swept by us. If we really wanted to say we wanted to sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers for the season, we needed to fucking come with some energy that would have matched them trying desperately not to get swept. And we didn't do that at all. Fiercely saying Washington lost, so we keep the 9th spot. Just hoping the Bulls don't catch up, as they seem to be on a roll since Patrick Beverley joined. Yeah, he may have revitalized them similar ways that Jakob has revitalized us. Maybe not as profound or so much, but yeah, he's really excited. He loves playing for the Bulls. In fact, last year he tweeted about playing for the Bulls way before he actually did. And it's kind of weird. Like he preordained it. That's so weird. Patrick Beverley's had such a weird bounce around the league in the last 2 years. You think about it, he's on Minnesota, he's on the Lakers, he's this place. It's crazy. Mike's saying Space Cadet. That's facts. Gary has issues with the primary guard defenders and main defensive game planning. He's still a young guy, only his second year starting. The people want Gary over Fred don't know. Yeah, holy crap. Yeah. I mean, he's young. He'll figure it out more and more. Nameless is saying OG is definitely still hurt. Definitely his wrist. Refs gave Cavs a 15-point lead to start. Then we expend all our energy just trying to get even, and Cleveland only starts really playing then. Yeah, and those threes, like I said, Mitchell busted the game wide open in the third quarter with these effortless threes, and he was just kind of toying with us because we weren't really finding him well at all. And yeah, it would have really helped if we had captain. Wayne saying tough night, forgot about it. We have 5 games to lose. That was one of them. Regroup and get another 4 or 5 game win streak. I love Wayne's comment here. Wayne's trainer. Once again, keeping his eyes on the prize, take one game at a time. Short memory. We have a game on Tuesday. Let's go in there and take care of business. He's already figured out how many games we can lose for what we want to do with our goals. And yeah, I like what Wayne's saying. He's staying present. Yesterday already happened. It's over and done with. We need to stay present. We got to come back. Hopefully have a practice today here in Toronto. And then tomorrow, bring it real nice against the Bulls. I'll have the preview in the morning at 9:30. Fun guy saying, I don't think OG is still hurt. Paying attention to the optics, his ball handling haven't been the problem in relation to his wrist. His rhythm is off and he's tired as fuck. Once his stamina is back, we're good. Okay. He sees it a little different. Well, I think with the way his shot has been off, like the first couple games back, it is his wrist, yeah. But I think that what people were saying before, Fun Guy, is true. I think that once again, he has 2 injuries, and there's something with his movement. And the reason why I say that is because he's not guarding people correctly the way he normally does. He's much quicker to guard people and move around. And for some reason, he's not moving as quick right now. So I'm going to have to disagree on this. It may be that you're right. His conditioning is a little bad right now, and he's not getting the reps enough to be not tired. I hope that's what it is, because that's much easier to get over than like a hip point or an injury with your thigh or something like that. So I hope you're right. But to me, the evidence is not showing that. Shere Khan saying, don't know if OG is hurt or not, but if he is, then they have to sit him out. With only 20 games left, they have to maximize players' contributions. Cavs jumped on us early and messed up the rhythm. No need to worry. It's just one game. They had payback to get us, and they got it. They definitely got it. I agree with Shere Khan. Like, if OG is hurt and it's nagging, I don't want to see us try and get him out there and continue to play him unless, it's smart. We can really fully heal him by the playoffs. That's probably smarter than trying to play him right now. So if we see him on the injury report for Tuesday, I won't be upset because it does really look like he might need to miss a game. G saying, we don't know if she was an emergency C-section, she had clots, etc. The child may be healthy, but doesn't mean she is 100%. We don't know the situation, to be honest. Yeah, I agree with you, G. And that's why I'm treading lightly on this. I don't know the full situation, so I have to give allowances for why Fred missed the game yesterday. But just from what I see and what I'm seeing is, in some ways, I don't like the way it looks. Now, if we find out there were really good reasons for why he missed the game yesterday, then I'll apologize. I'll say I was wrong, and I really feel bad for having the take that I've had this morning about Fred. But until then, I'm going to look at it the way I see it right now, and I have to be honest just with how I feel. And we don't all have to agree on this. Some of us can give him a carte blanche, the card to just go ahead, carte blanche, to do whatever he wants and stuff like that. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm not really that mad at him. I'm disappointed is really what it is. I'm just disappointed. Cool Cat saying, Lex, I'm agreeing with you. I meant Fred used the loophole in taking paternity leave to prove his point. Yeah, I don't like that. I really don't like that. Like, that's playing games. And in some ways, I don't like that kind of shit. Don't fuck with our record, Fred. Don't fuck with our team. In some ways, like, I love you. You're a great leader. I've met you in real life. You're a really nice guy. There's so many things I really admire and like about you. But if there's any kind of weird manipulation in this kind of way, for contract reasons to show value or something like that, I don't like that. We know your value. The team knows your value. And you don't need to hurt us to teach us your value, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, okay, Cool Cat's agreeing with me. Okay, cool. Yeah, listen, I know that you and I, we were pretty much most of the time on the same page. And even if we aren't, it's no big deal. And honestly, some people are going to call me out and think I'm out of pocket for this. Well, you're probably right. Maybe I am. But I have my feelings and my emotions, and this is what this made me feel. It's like, oh, fuck, Fred, why are you not coming to the game tonight? We need you so badly against Donovan and Darius. And I was right. I hated it. I was hoping I wouldn't be right yesterday afternoon when I heard Fred wasn't going to play. I was like, fuck, why is he not playing? I hope we win. And it isn't like glaring that we really needed him. Well, I was right. It was glaring that we needed him. MSJ saying, exactly, Lex. Too many eggs in the basket of Fred. I see a sign and trade with him, but whatever. We need a third guard. Flynn isn't working. Dowtin is okay. We need a third traditional guard. Peace out. See, I don't want it to go this way. Like, seriously, I really want Fred to be a Raptor for life. But if there's signs, more and more signs showing that he may be greedy, more signs that he's not going to work well with us, more signs that he is going to cut and run this summer, so be it. That's what I've said. I can't control that. And I just root for this team. And I trust in Bobby Masai that if Fred is not in our jersey next year, that we will have an adequate replacement and that we'll be the Raptors still and we'll go forward without him if we have to. But I don't like even saying this. I really wish that Fred wouldn't make this more ambiguous and uncertain, because we don't need uncertainty like this with our nation. Our people in our Raptors nation are crazy, flaky, and fucked up. And, you will fuel a fire that's anti-Fred if you're not careful, Fred, with some of the decisions you're making, especially if you're trying to strong arm for a contract by holding yourself out. And I just don't agree with that in any kind of way. Hopefully that's not the way it is, and I'm characterizing it totally wrong. Let's see. Adriana's here. Good to see Adriana. On my fantasy team, it says Fred is injured. Yeah, Adriana and Monique have Fred on their fantasy team. We'll just check in. I have the tab open here, and it's saying that Fred is injured. Let's see what the little box says. Fred VanVleet, personal reasons, will not be available for Sunday's game against the Cavs. Fred VanVleet will be away from the team for a third straight game, which keeps Gary Trent Jr. in the starting lineup. With Gary Trent Jr. already rostered in most fantasy leagues, there isn't an obvious fantasy pickup beyond him. Jeff Dowtin played rotation minutes in Saturday's win over the Pistons, leapfrogging past Malachi, but this will not impact fantasy basketball. That's your fantasy basketball information. Yeah, seriously. 3 games you have missed, Fred. This is silly. This is silly to me. It's very silly. It's really good to see you in the chat, Adriana. Now, speaking of the fantasy league, the Raptorsfreak Fantasy League, we're on the home stretch, guys. So if you haven't checked in on your team in a while, you may want to go in and just check on your team and see what you're on pace for. At the bottom, they have maximum games listed, and it'll have the games that you've already played and how many are remaining for the rest of the season. Now, you may be like a whole bunch of reds, where that means that you are over, or you may have a bunch of greens. That means you haven't played enough. And you want to make up those numbers so that by the end of the season, you'll have 82 games played at each position. Now, Tom Duke in particular, because of his strategy and style of play this season, he is almost out of games altogether, I think. Let me go look at Tom specifically. Tom has 1 game left at shooting guard position, 1 game left at small forward. And, he's managing his team in that regard as it goes out. But yeah, there's still time to play and maybe make some ground up and move up in the standings and win the Vince Carter UNC Tar Heels autographed jersey that Isaac Campbell has sent. The benevolent Isaac Campbell sent to me as the prize for the Yahoo Fantasy League. That's right. We have a very good prize. Well, Tom's looking like he's going to get it still. But yeah, check on your fantasy team. It's not too late to try and make some moves. Gerald saying Fred VanVleet didn't make a winning decision by sitting out, and it feels like at this point we were trying to win and we are in danger of not having a winning decision. I don't think DeMar would approve. Yeah, I don't know what DeMar would think. He is a dad himself with kids, and maybe he would be like, you know what, fuck the Raptors. They traded me. Go ahead and fuck them over, Fred. DeMar could very well be like that, and I wouldn't be mad at him because he has a reason to be like that. But yeah, I just don't like this decision. I understand. Okay, family is a priority. It's very important, and we've allowed you to have the priority of them for most of this weekend. But I think you're kind of pushing it. Line Hunter saying, if I just had a kid and had to go to Cleveland for work, I'd probably find a way out as well. That's a good diss on Cleveland. So I'm going to give you a dunk, Line Hunter. You get a dunk today, Line Hunter, for dunking on Cleveland with such a great burn. I love that. That's totally true. Yeah, I guess I can see that point of view that Fred didn't want to go because it's Cleveland. Let's see. I don't think he was doing it to prove a point. I really hope not. It may just be conveniently a side effect of it. Is that, maybe his intention was good. He just wants to have as much time with the new childrens, like all around him, all 3 of the kids with him. But listen, Fred, come on, don't abuse the niceness of the Raptors and allowing you to be with your family. Fun guy saying Fred trying to punish us by showing team without him is idiotic, laughing my ass off. Considering we've been winning without him, wouldn't be proving a point, my guy. Fred, laugh out loud, but hurry back anyways. No, I think he did prove a point. Like I don't know if it was intentional. I hope it wasn't. But he very much did prove a point about how our offense runs without him and how much we do really need him. And, look, we need a point guard. We need a real point guard. And he is that guy right now. But listen, Fred, you don't get all crazy and weird this summer with your bag demands. Because, we could maybe turn it around and find another guy that plays point. And I don't like saying that. It's just that the things that have been going the last couple of days are kind of pissing me off. Hughes saying the Detroit game should have been a wake-up call about their poor offensive performance. They didn't learn anything from the film by the looks of it. Yeah, Fred should have saw on Saturday how bad they played and be like, man, they really need me out there. And then he should have gotten on a plane to Cleveland the next day. And that's part of what pisses me off too, is we already saw the signs that our offense is struggling within the New Orleans game, but we overcame that. And then we saw signs of it struggling even worse against Detroit. And then very much struggling very badly last night. Well, he saw the evidence. He saw it coming. And he should have known with the opponent that we're facing that he would all hands on deck. Seriously, all hands on deck. Logical saying, I don't know. I think everyone is lost in the weeds on this one and reading too far into it, in my opinion. Simply, how many babies will Fred have? It's a big thing, family, is his reason he puts in his work that he does. Don't VC him. Well, I am to a degree. This is very much like Vince in his graduation to me. In some ways, it is. Listen, Fred's going to be a baby machine. He's already said it. He's looking at it as a competition. He's going to keep spitting babies out every year. Watch. He's rich. He can do it. And Shante wants to have a bunch of kids. I'll bet you he may have like 5 or 6 kids by, 2030 or something like that. So, no, I don't feel bad for him in this kind of way. He can have more babies. And what is it next time he's going to take 2 weeks off? He's going to take this amount of time. He could have a baby next year and fucking want to take a week off. That's what I'm saying. No, this dude's on, like, I studied fertility and, how often you can have a baby. And, well, he's hitting every line right now with the age spacing between Sana and Fred VanVleet Jr. and now this third baby. Yeah, he's probably going to get her pregnant again. I'm going to say either this fall or maybe in the spring of next year. He will get her pregnant again, and he will have a fourth child. He's not going to limit how many kids he has. He has all the money in the world, and he wants having kids. He loves having kids. So I will bet you money, Fred, when he's done, he's going to probably have 8 or 9 kids by the time he's done. And the Raptors are going to just have to have him miss all the time if we continue like this. That's what I'm saying. Seriously, I could see this guy having kids every year for like the next 5 years. Let's see. MSJ saying Fred is whipped. And now I get it. The wife wants to go live in Orlando so Fred can take the kids to Disneyland. It's half her money too, and she wants more. Laugh out loud. We have had it wrong all along. Now, this may be going a little too far as like what Mike was saying in his comment just before this. Maybe he was reading a little bit too far into this. Like, seriously. Well, listen, once again, we can't control what Fred's going to do this summer. If he is an honest man, he'll say, I want to be a Raptor for life. He means it. Well, work with us. Make it so we can get you to be a Raptor for life. Because I was all about that when you said that. But, I don't want to go too far with this. I mean, we'll take it as it is. Hopefully he shows up on Tuesday, plays against the Bulls. Things are better. We win. And there's no, like, dissent and weird shit. And then, in the summer, we'll see what happens with him in his contract. If he doesn't opt out of his player option, then I'll be like, good. That's a good sign. If he does opt out and then he gets a sign and trade and we trade him to another team, so be it. That's what it was supposed to be. Even though it makes me sad that we're losing one of our champions and one of our cornerstones for the last few years. So it's like, I can't control this. I am at the mercy of Fred. I'm at the mercy of Masai. I'm at the mercy of Larry Tannenbaum. And these guys will sort it all out this summer. And I just have to see what happens and trust in Masai that our team's going to be good no matter what, whether Fred's on the team or not. I would love for him to stay and continue to play, of course. But if it's going to be what it's going to be, so be it. But I don't know if I can read this far into it as far as with his wife and Disney World and stuff like that. In Florida, it's Disney World. Disneyland's in California. And Disney World is in Florida. I know because I lived in Florida and I went to Disney World. Blackhawk saying, I wanted the win yesterday, but I'm not putting this on Fred. Nick Nurse was outcoached. Point blank, period. You know what? I won't disagree with Blackhawk on this one to a degree. Now, you know what? I'm fine with, taking the onus off Fred. He would have helped us for sure. But it is still on the guys who showed up and should have been there and playing hard. Now, the effort wasn't there. And also, Nick did not coach this game well. You're right. The rotations were a little screwy. And he didn't react well enough to some of the things that were happening in the game fast enough. And maybe that he needed to coach them in different ways with the offensive sets to get more generating good stuff happening. And it may be that he needed to do some adjustments faster on the defensive end to try and stop Donovan and Jared Allen in certain ways. So I won't disagree with this. I think that Nick was outcoached yesterday, and that's a valid statement. JB Bickerstaff had a great game plan. He had his guys ready and motivated, and they kicked our ass. Yeah, so I can do that. I can get behind everything Blackhawk's saying here. I don't want to put it on Fred. I'm just saying he would have helped. Nako's saying, for me, it's just that we're in no man's land. It might be cool with Fred sitting if we're in the playoffs comfortably or tanking. Yeah, that's part of it is we got to scrap and fight, and all these games matter. And like I said, Fred said this in his interview after the All-Star break, that we got to get going. There's no room for margin for error. Well, okay, you said that. Where are you? Shere Khan saying, you're right, Lex. This is not a good look for Fred. If this is what it's going to be like, then maybe it's not the best fit. This reminds me of Carter attending the graduation ceremony same day as a big game. Yeah, it's not on the same scale because that was the playoffs. And that very much was an elimination game in which we got put out of the playoffs because Vince went down there. But I understand his priority was his education and getting that diploma in front of his mom. And that his mother, it was very important to her. In fact, she was a real problem in all kinds of different ways. I'm sorry. She was a busybody, and she hurt the Raptors team in all kinds of ways, Michelle Carter. Well, I hope that it's not that Shante VanVleet is causing problems for us because she's demanding Fred on doing this and this. Shante, we need your husband on the court. And please let daddy go back to work. Please. Please, can daddy go to work? Can daddy go to work? Fred VanVleet Jr., please, can he go back to work? Mike's saying a punch in the mouth is good from time to time, keeping things correct. We still need to continue working. Last year, he played through injury to get us more wins, to get playoffs. He wants us to win. See, that's the saying. That's the character of Fred that I know. That he's playing hurt. He's busting his ass and trying his ass off. That's the Fred I know. That's why this doesn't totally jive in my head, what's going on right now. Because I know he's played hurt and sacrificed and taken the lumps and bumps and been there for us at times when we really needed him. That's why I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? You know, it could be there's some sort of weird shit going on behind the scenes with the team. Hopefully it is just the kid and that he's just really, really wanting to have as much time with them. And I'm reading way too far into it. Let's see. Smooth saying it's about team. I agree. Yeah, if you're a real Raptor freak, listen, we can have favorite players. We can have guys like I really love Pascal. I really love Scottie. I really love Precious. That's fine. I have no problem with having your favorites. But ultimately, our alliance and our allegiance is with the team and that we're team first fans. There's a lot of fans in the NBA that are player first fans. They're very much LeBron fans or old Kobe fans. They were always just like, Kobe's my guy. I don't really root for any team. And they're more superstar fans. They may root for superstars across the league. Like I like Tatum. I like Donovan. I like LeBron. And those are my guys. And I root for them whenever they're playing. But they don't have a team that they're really home based with. And that's the difference. I'm an old school kind of fan because there were team fans before. It wasn't a superstar league where fans were just fans of players like it's became. Like Jordan kind of opened that era. Everybody became Jordan fans and not necessarily Chicago fans. But that's an important distinction to make. And in some ways, the team fan is dying out in the ecosystem of the NBA because of the way they market it, the way the game has become more flashy and more individualistic. That's why I'm old school, and I always will be a team first guy and a team first fan. And the Raptors, that's why it's non-negotiable. I'm not moving with another player. Like if the player leaves and they go to another team, I don't just go and switch to that team. Now, in some cases, I do. Like when Rodman was playing, he was my favorite player. When he went to the Spurs, I was already a Spurs fan, so it was easy to root for him then. But when he went to Chicago, that was different because I hated the Bulls. And I was rooting against them for years, and Michael Jordan for the Pistons against them. Well, when Jordan got Rodman next to him on the team, I had to start rooting for the Bulls because I loved Rodman that much. And I really enjoyed the last three Bulls championships in their second three-peat because Rodman was a part of those teams. So in some ways, I did become a Bulls fan just because of Dennis. But once he left, I didn't anymore. I rooted for them just because I really liked him. But it's an interesting situation, and everybody has a different like fan fingerprint as far as like their likes and dislikes and their allegiances where they're weighted. And it's so heavily weighted for the Raptors team altogether for me. Isaac's saying not one player would have changed the outcome of that game. Schedule manipulation on a back-to-back. It is what it is. Give it a week, and Fred will single-handedly win us a game too. I believe in what Isaac's saying here, and I completely agree. In fact, I hope he comes back tomorrow and he kicks so much ass and leads us to the victory, and I can just put all of my fears and things that I'm expressing today to rest because I don't want to have any questions about what's fucking going on with Fred because of the situation of this year and the contract stuff. So, Fred, come and give me some good feelings about you and come back and kick some ass and help us win this game against DeMar and the Bulls tomorrow. Yeah, and I hope Isaac's completely right. And he's right. The schedule was a manipulative thing already in this whole factor. And then you put the refs on top of it. Well, that's not what you're going to do. Alistair saying it's definitely not Fred's fault, laughing my ass off. We don't have a backup shooting guard, small forward, center, and this team doesn't fit. Break it up, please. Oh, no. We don't. All right. Once again, Alistair's overreacting for sure here. No, we're not trying to bust up this core. We may change a couple of individuals in and out of it, but the overall scheme of it and how we're doing things, it is going to work. It's just that we're still sorting it out. And maybe we just need to make a couple of changes, like personnel changes, like one or two, but it should be really good. I know Poeltl for sure. I know Scottie for sure. I know Precious for sure. I know Pascal for sure. I know OG for sure. I'm pretty sure about Fred. I want to say I'm totally sure about Fred, but I don't know today. But I wanted to say I know Fred for sure. But that's what I'm saying. You can change a little bit of around it and it'll still work really well. I don't think that we need to break it up. Seriously, we're doing all right. Jimmy's saying we're 3-1 against the Cavs, by the way. That's right. They're a top Eastern team when we won the season series against them. That's the one thing that we need to keep saying, even though we lost yesterday by 25 to them. We won the season series. We won that already months ago when we beat them around Christmas. We won the season series then, and that's a great perspective from the Pope of Positivity coming in and giving us a reality check. Yeah, we won the series against them this year, 3-1, and that is a win. G saying these offensive fouls were not even close to offensive fouls. They did not extend their arms, and the Cavs were leaning right into them. This game made me question what they consider an offensive foul. Yeah, it was so rigged in some ways. Like they couldn't do anything physically. Did we touch them, breathe on them, foul? Meanwhile, they are nailing the shit out of us, and they get carte blanche. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Isaac saying only respect and love. Sorry if this is being intensely opinionated. Listen, guys, this is exactly what I need from you guys. Like yesterday when we were talking in the Facebook chat, that was really good what you and Kenrick did, because you guys were like a voice of reason, and I was a little bit like getting into my emotions of being mad at Fred, and you guys were really a counterbalance that was necessary for me to keep my perspective balanced. And I really appreciate that. That's exactly what you should do, Isaac. You guys call me out on my shit. If you feel like, if you don't agree with me, tell me. There's nothing wrong with that. I want y'all to be honest with me. And it's not like I'm going to be mad at y'all. We can agree to disagree, or you could even sometimes sway me and make me see your perspective on things because you give me a good based argument of evidence. And I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right, Kenrick. It could be something to do with the pregnancy, the complications, and I need to allow for that to be a possible reason why he did not play yesterday. That was really good what you guys did in that chat. Trust me. And no, don't ever apologize for being yourself, having your own opinion, even if it doesn't jive with mine. I know that you and I are very similar politically, and we agree on a lot in this world, but there's nothing that every single person, the world agrees on every single thing. And it's important for me to be balanced with you guys. Let's just put it that way. Cool Cat's saying, Lex, you're not listening to Fred. He said it is a business, man. As such, this is his last major contract. He signed with Klutch to ensure that's the case. Negotiation tactics used this season to empower him. Yeah, I really didn't want to believe that narrative, but I am starting to see the light, if this is true, about what he did this weekend. I didn't want to believe some of the bullshit that he who shall not be named and some of the stuff that they've been saying. But, some of the things that Fred's doing recently makes me worry that they may be right to a degree. And I hate that. I don't want to admit, that thing about Fred when I've been fighting so valiantly for his character in the other way. But yeah, this sucks. Maybe Fred is only greedy. Maybe Fred only does care about the money. I want him to clarify this shit and show us what he gives a shit about, because we'll find out real soon, what he is. If he's just a businessman, he's a family man, or he's a Raptors man. What are you, Fred? You're a family man, obviously. Are you a businessman or a Raptors man? We'll have to find out this summer, and we'll know by what you do. We'll find out real quick. And I know that the team's not going to fuck this up. They're going to do whatever they can and what they can do. So nobody needs to come after Masai and Bobby with the relation with what happens with Gary or Fred this summer. That they're going to do their best to do whatever's best for our team. I trust them for that. And that in some cases, it's not totally up to them. It may be up to Shante and Fred. And that's the thing that scares the shit out of me about this. I wanted to say that him going with Klutch was a good move, because we've really worked well with them in negotiations with OG and Gary and Nick even. So I really hope that the Klutch thing is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. But it may be also what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know how to read Fred anymore. I don't want him to think he's selfish. I don't want to think he's selfish. But this weekend, I've seen a couple selfish things, whether it's him, like I said, it was a bad look on Open Gym, him talking about Jakob getting a bigger bag and him being money-oriented and thinking about that. Like, this is not the time to be like this, Fred, in some ways. Do it on the down low and being in private, but don't put it on blast that you're a money man and you only care about the money, because there's a huge part of the Raptors nation that hates you, and they're using that as their ammunition to say why we should all hate you. And I don't like that. I really don't. I'm not somebody that's like money grubbing myself. I'm not a greedy person. So I can't relate to that mindset if you have it, Fred. I'm sorry. I relate to winning and wanting the team to win. I don't give a shit about every single dollar and cent. If you do, and that's what you want to milk us dry as you can for your salary this summer, well, that's going to make me change my opinion of you to a degree, because it's like, it's not who I thought you were in some ways. Let's see. Mike's saying a positive thing I saw, Poeltl is really starting to lock in on solid free throw form shooting. Flynn was able to drive the car a bit and saw offense speed up with him in, and of course, seeing the whole bench. Yeah, these are good positives, Mike. I can get behind him. Yeah, Poeltl took those free throws seriously when he got those chances. And I like that. What was he at the free throw line yesterday? 3 for 3. Yeah, he made all 3 of his free throws yesterday. That's fantastic. Anytime Poeltl does well at the free throw line, this is really good. It's an adventure when he's up there for sure. Flynn, yeah, he looked really good. It did speed up things while he was out there, and he managed to make more open shots for us in the little bit of time at the end of the game. He definitely got an uptick and looked better out of the guys. Like Jeff wasn't bad either. Jeff looked solid, but Joe looked horrible, and Malachi looked good too, which was good. I liked seeing that. G saying if they won against the Cavs without Fred, this would maybe hurt his value. I don't think this has anything to do with negotiations, to be honest. For all we know, the organization said not to come. We don't know. I doubt that. I really doubt the organization told him not to come. I think they were being nice. It could be like some people have alluded that, like, look, they're maybe trying to kiss his ass and show that they really want to keep him around by being nice to him and letting him do whatever he wants. That's something that somebody said yesterday, and that kind of rung true with me. Is like that's a negotiating a tactic to say, all right, well, Fred, look, we're going to show good faith that we really care about you, so we're going to give you time off so you can be with your family, your newborn baby. And that I can understand that maybe like we want to show as an organization that we care about you and what you want, and this is what you want. Now, what Nick said after the game last night made me think that he was not happy with Fred not being there. Seriously, because if you go watch his interview after the game, he said, and hopefully Fred will be here at the very end of his interview. And he said it in a way that made me feel like he's a little exasperated. And from his perspective, you got to look at it this way. This whole season's been a mess as far as just keeping a healthy team and being competitive. And it's just one bullshit after another bullshit thing. Now, this is a great, wonderful, positive thing that happened for Fred, but it's still having a negative effect on our team. And in some ways, Nick's probably just like, I can't fucking, in some ways. So I can see where he could be frustrated with him not showing up yesterday. And I don't think it was in his plans. I think he very much wanted Fred to show up yesterday. Maybe Masai and Bobby were nice and cool about it, but I don't think Nick was. I don't think he was. Let's see. Shir Khan saying Raps can beat any team in the league if called fairly. We can't beat teams 8-on-5. That said, we have to use this as a learning opportunity. Post game, the team looked like they know what to do to improve. Yeah, Nick and Scottie weren't that phased. They didn't seem that shook up by losing the way they did. They understood what happened in some ways, and they were realistic about it. Now, what you're saying, Shir Khan, I'm going to disagree with to a degree. Listen, we can beat any team in this league, sure, even if it's not called fairly. We have to be that much better. And in fact, this is part of the reason why we are so much better than everybody gives us credit, is that we've had so much success in recent years, despite the fact that we overcome an 8 versus 5 all the time. In fact, we get REF Hitjobs done to us in wins all the time. They do a hit job on us, and it doesn't take, and we still win the game. So we are able to overcome 8 versus 5. It may not seem like it, but that's the thing. That's why I can't make an excuse when a REF hit job happens that, we were supposed to lose, because we can fucking beat the REF hit job also. We can beat the other team and beat the REF hit job. We've done that consistently at different times during the last couple years. But it is so hard to do that, to come with the right effort and the right energy to overcome it. But we have that capability. That's the one thing I'll disagree with you on that. So it's crazy, but it's true. Let's see. G saying Nick could have staggered the bench a bit better, in my opinion. Joe didn't look great, but I think him with more starters taking defense would have given him better looks. Yeah, he looked hesitant. He didn't get good looks. He was off balance. They were really crazy corner shot. Little bit of like guys running at him. I just wish he had nailed a couple of those, even if they look crazy and up in the air. He did that in 905. He had a guy draped all over him. He's in the corner, and it went up and it went shoosh right through. But I think part of it was also, once again, Cleveland had the right to hit us every which way. And he was actually getting contact when he was shooting those threes and not getting called. And that's got to be frustrating because it's his livelihood. He's trying to ingratiate himself to be in the rotation. And meanwhile, he's getting a good look, but he's getting hit also. The ref's not calling it. And yeah, he's missing. And now he looks bad. And they're air balls. So the crowd is saying air ball, and he's embarrassed. And you could tell he had a little red in his face because he's a little embarrassed after how he looked out there. So it's tough. It's tough. We needed to get him better looks, but nobody was getting good looks. Gary wasn't getting them. Pascal wasn't getting them, but he was making them despite that. Nobody was getting good looks last night. The Cleveland was really on everybody and with physicality. In fact, they were doing the shit that we like to do. They out-raptored the Raptors. They came with contact, point of contact, and came right at us, point of attack, and fucked us up. Fun guy saying, we got to be the worst tired team in the league. Back-to-back for us are basically losses. Minutes definitely play a part. I always expect to lose back-to-backs even against all right, listen, fun guy, I'm going to disagree once again a little bit with this one. We actually have been winning back-to-backs this season inexplicably. It's really weird. There was a phenomenon for a while this season where the team that was on the back-to-back actually had the advantage and would win. It's crazy. We've actually handled back-to-backs pretty well this season for the most part. There's just been a couple that have been really bad like this one yesterday. But we've actually won a bunch of games on the second night of a back-to-back this season. So I don't know. It's not always cut and dry. Sometimes it's the team is really up. I think the Cleveland being very much up to not get swept and having good, strong energy and being very well prepared is part of that difference too. Let's see. Mike saying, I think this game is key to look back onto to get ready for times Fred isn't there. And future-wise, things that are needed really are really shown for the guys to learn off and key to the development process, in my opinion. Yeah, you see the glaring holes, you see the problems, you want to fix them, you go back to the drawing board, you talk to the guys, you say, this is what we got to do better because this was happening too much with Donovan. We got to do this better because this was happening too much with Jared Allen down low. Yeah, it's really, really fruitful and crucial that these guys come and look at the mistakes and the problems and they adjust. The whole season is a workshop. And each time you take that piece of wood that you craft your team into and you adjust it, you carve a little bit of it or shave a little bit of off it to perfect it. And it's constantly in workshop. That's what a basketball team is during the season. You're workshopping your flaws and your strengths, and you're trying to play towards the strengths and hide your flaws. And the more you workshop throughout the whole season, you're supposed to get better and better as the season goes on. And Cleveland has shown that they've gotten better since we saw them around Christmas, that they are more in tune offensively in some ways than they were the last time we saw them. Let's see. Alster saying, only thing we need to develop is a three-point shot. No matter what else, we learn if you are scared to take threes, you're doomed. Yeah, this league is more and more crucial to be a good three-point shooting team, and we just don't have that. And that is part of the reason why we don't compete very well. It's like in a video game, each team has its characteristics in a basketball video game, and our team is very heavy on defense and rebounding, but shooting is not a very big part in our team makeup if you look at the profiles of each team. And that is something we can increase and get better for this offseason, hopefully, with some moves. Or maybe the guys just come back and better shooters. Like Pascal is a better shooter this season than he was last year. He's just getting better and better. It's like that is a way we can improve. Scottie will be a better shooter next year also. Precious is a better shooter this year than last year. So they're improving. It's just that it's not enough to what we got to deal with on the other end. Cool Cat saying, I think we have to use Dowtin Jr. more as a point guard to get him more reps for playoffs. He's a good floor manager. He's able to read and manipulate the defense faster than Scottie. I propose Scottie shooting guard. Yeah, I don't mind any of that. The one thing, though, is that Jeff's not eligible to play in the playoffs unless we convert him. And I don't know if we're going to. I think Mike was kind of painting the picture that it doesn't seem realistic for us to convert Jeff Dowtin and have him available for our playoffs. So I don't know if they're going to do that. As above, so below. All right, sup, bro? We simply didn't play well in the second half. Cavs are no joke, and we didn't prep for them. Our starters were outscored by theirs by almost 4 points. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways we weren't ready for them. whether it's like game plan wise by Nick, whether it's energy wise because of the second night of back-to-back. They were very much intense and very much looking forward to getting get back against us. It may be that they had that date circled on the calendar and that was a very special game for them to make sure they didn't get swept. It may be that they felt really bad the way we beat them around Christmas, because we really did dominate them and kick their ass in that game on that Friday night. And, they had some get back. They had some receipts they want to pay towards us, and they did. That's what they did. Monique's saying good days are coming for Ron Jr. Just hold on. Yeah, Ron Harper Jr. is starting to look better and better recently. I really am impressed with him recently, and I'm wishing him well. I hope he does really good stuff. Let's see. Monique made that comment. I'm going to make sure I get every one of them. Mike is saying, respect, Lex, for the shout out. Always respect. Yeah, Mike, you're doing good stuff. Your work is really important, and I appreciate it. Kareem saying, I don't know what it is about Eric Khoury to me. I feel like Delano has regressed, and Koloko has not much changed. I think the new staff of the 905 needs to be reevaluated. There's too much talent. Well, all right, I'm going to look at their problems on that level right now. They've had a lot of going back and forth with players. It's been really hard to get a core because their core is constantly changed, whether it's like Sterling Brown going to the Lakers for a while and coming back, Reggie Perry going and leaving all of a sudden because he's been a bedrock of our team, like one of the most important cornerstones, Reggie Perry, the last 2 years. Well, now he's all of a sudden gone. And we've just been switching guys in so much. Like Hassani was here for a while. Now he's gone. Gravette. There's been just so many different players down there. And there's in the availability of the guys who come to the main roster has changed. You've seen how Koloko wasn't there in the beginning. And then now he's there now. Delano's been had different times held out from being down there. Ron's been consistently down there, but Jeff has not. Jeff has not been down there recently to help them. So in some ways, Eric Curry's had a really tough time because it's not consistent. His roster has been really in flux this whole entire G League season. But I think he hasn't done a good job in some ways. I can agree with what you're saying about Delano. As far as he does seem like he might have regressed a little bit this season from what he built up from all the inertia from last summer with playing for Canada, playing in the summer league really well. Just all the different things he did last summer were really building him up, and it just dropped. And we lost the ball on him sometime in the early season this year. And I think we sent him to 905 too late. And I think he's too much in his head as far as being in 905 and not playing as much on the main roster. And he needs to get over that. You need to kick ass, Delano, like you did last year. You need to have really, really good games because in some ways you have looked like you've regressed a little bit from the excellence that you had last summer. And I don't like that. Now, as far as Koloko's right on track. He's not doing anything wrong with Koloko. Koloko is actually showing some real promise. And the little bits of what we're seeing from him looks good. So I'm not that upset with what's happening with Koloko. He's really a project. He's raw. He's green. He has so much to learn. He just needs time. And 905 provides the time that the Raptors cannot. And that's why he needs to continue to be down there. Tom Duke saying, yeah, Kareem, also that trade of Reggie Perry doesn't make sense to me too. Yeah, I didn't understand that either. But it is what it is. I don't know why they value things on that level. It's like Mike knew how to go over the 905 and what they're trying to do with their roster and all the pieces moving and stuff like that, like what he does for the Raptors. That would be very intriguing and interesting to me. Mike, I don't know if that's a project you're interested in putting in workload, but I don't understand the rhyme or reason to why they bring certain players in or leave or whatever, or what their goals are with that, because it just seems really haphazard and it just seems like it's really random. Like now we have this guy named Keith Williams that just showed up and Monique's doing her research on him. But I'm like, why? What is the whole scheme of things? What's the bigger picture? What the fuck are y'all doing with 905? Is basically what I want to find out. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing with 905? What are your goals? Do you want to win on 905 level? Do you want to provide as much opportunity for reps for people like Koloko and Delano and Ron Harper? What are you doing on 905? What is the game plan? What's the big picture? Is it just the farm team? Are you just on cruise control? Why the fuck are you making these deals? Who the fuck is the GM of the 905? And why are you dealing these guys in and out so much this season? Like, what is this? What are your goals? I have no fucking idea what they're doing down there. No idea. It's really weird. Cool Cat saying that Kareem, we can't say that for sure. Ron and Dowtin are performing well. It shows on court. Yeah, I mean, he's got success stories this year, Eric Khoury, with some of the stuff he's doing. I would say Koloko's a success. I'd say Ron and Jeff have been successes. And I even say that David Johnson's been a success and the things that he's done with them. But I can't say that for Delano. He's exactly right about Delano with the regression with him. And I don't know what it is, if it's a problem with Delano or it's just that he's just not getting the right kind of like instruction or coaching from Eric. Let's see. Alistair's saying if we're fresh, nothing would have changed. We played the same versus Detroit. We're on a back-to-back then, no? Well, Alistair, we weren't fresh for them either because it's a natural start time, noon, and that we're not awake. The body has like a circadian rhythm, a biorhythm to it. And these guys are not used to getting up and playing at noon. So even though that was the first day of a back-to-back, that's still kind of a fucked up time and your energy is going to be weird. And that is part of the scheduling to try and fuck us up too. Is like put them at noon and then have them go 6 o'clock at Cleveland the next day. It's all really rot with problems that you can have. A noon game is fucked up. It's really hard to get that energy that early. And Pascal is just an early riser. He's really good at having energy at that time. And that's why he played way better than any of the other Raptors, is because he orients his day very early. In fact, I've heard that he gets the OVO center at like 5 a.m. and he's there before Fred gets there. Fred's like second one there. Pascal's always the first one there in the very, very early days of the morning. And every single day he does this. So that's part of it, is that Pascal's conditioned to play early in the day. And that's why he played so much better than anybody else against Detroit yesterday. But none of those guys are ready to get up like that. I think Scottie gets up at 9 a.m. and that's like 3 hours or something like that. I don't know. So it's like, even though that's the first day of a back-to-back, it's the same energy because it's flat because it's 12 p.m. And then this is the second day of a back-to-back. That's the reasons. Kareem's saying, Cool Cat, Jeff was a diamond in the rough. He's been on a few teams, but hasn't gotten a real shot. He put his on display at Rico Hines, not under Khoury. Nonetheless, Ron Harper Jr. has been a bright spot. Yeah. Well, Jeff has been, developing already in a couple of different systems with Milwaukee, Golden State, Orlando, a couple of different spots he's been in already in good places. And he has been a little bit further ahead in his development and where he's at right now. There's a reason why he can play like this for our main team, is because he's had a lot of experience in different ways. And that's true. In some ways, you don't want to give that totally credit to Eric Khoury because of years before, but it also, he has helped him this year. I will say that he's actually helped in the development of Jeff. So I got to give him that. But it is kind of like that. And Ron has definitely been developed by Eric. I don't want to come after Eric Khoury too much. I just don't understand what they're fucking doing with that team. I just wish I understood their what they're trying to do, what the objectives of that team are. Mike's saying, not gonna lie, Cavs fan nation were jumping the ledge on a 3-game losing streak to the point where the coach actually talked on them and said a big rebuttal to the emotional cliff jumping fans after the 3 losses. See, Cavs fan needed it so desperate. The team needed it. They won like a whole bunch of games in a row, and then they lost 3 games in a row, and they were a little worried like they're sliding. So once again, the Raptors help a team that's in a bad place get out of a bad place by giving them a win. We've done this all year. We did it right at the beginning of the season, right away. We helped Sixers get back on track right at the beginning of the season. We helped the Nets get on track. We helped the Magic get on track. Well, we just helped the Cavs get on track. Country Kong's here. Good morning, Raptors freaks. What a doozy of a game that was. I'm not sure whether to be concerned since it was a back-to-back and Fred was out, but our ISO offense failed us last night, and it was hard to watch. Yeah, we kind of go over every single part of the whole thing of why it happened the way it did yesterday, today. It's a lot of different things. Schedule, referees, Cleveland's motivation, our second day of a back-to-back, Fred not being there, the lack of point guard with Fred not there, all this kind of stuff. Shir Khan saying, you know what? I'm over trying to hold on to Fred and OG. Gary is looking more and more like a keeper just with his attitude. Just re-sign Gary and Poeltl. Whatever happens with Fred and OG happens. Well, you don't need to lump OG in there. But with Fred, I'm about to be like that too. It's like whatever happens with Fred, so be it. I'll be delighted if it all works out and he gets a good contract with us and it doesn't hurt us. But if he leaves too, I'm like, well, this is supposed to happen this way. It's obviously supposed to happen this way because it's happened this way. So let's see. Alistair saying Fred exposed us. Yeah, well, maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe Nick just didn't fucking cover up for him not being there well enough with his ideas of what he did. Maybe he should have played Malachi last night. It could have been that. I know Jeff's good, but maybe he needed both of them. There's no reason why he couldn't play the small guards against the small guards of the other side. That maybe Gary's defense wasn't good enough, or OG's just not healthy enough to get around to guard Donovan. Maybe you needed two little dogged point guards, Malachi and Jeff Dowtin, out there at the same time to keep track of Darius and Donovan. Because seriously, we did not control them as well as the other 3 games this season at all. Because really, we kept Donovan to like half his point total usually. Like he was scoring like 12 points in the games earlier this season. Is it just because Fred wasn't there? I don't know. Maybe Nick didn't have the right game plan. Mike is saying basketball players are people. You have to allow for certain things. People things, deaths, births, family stuff. I don't know. I made the mistake on judging Otto in his absence early in the season, and it was his baby. Yeah, but also in the same token, I can still judge Otto in some ways. I mean, I guess he elected to take the surgery because, the team wasn't going anywhere and we were in a bad place. And it's not like he did what Goran did in some ways. Like it's a very different kind of thing what Otto did this season compared to Goran last year. But you're right. They're humans. They have their own lives. They have different things. But also, let Daddy go back to work. Let Daddy go back to work, please. Please let Daddy go back to work. Fiercely saying, if Fred does not resign in the summer, doesn't it mean we have extra money to pick up another high caliber free agent? Yes, exactly, Fiercely. And that's what I'm saying. So be it. If we have to, we'll go get another player, somebody like a Chris Paul, not Chris Paul specifically, but we get another veteran point guard that's on the market with maybe for less money, and maybe it does work better. I don't know. This is the thing. I don't even want to start talking about these kind of scenarios because I've been very much a Fred stan and a Fred defender. And at this point, I don't know how to deal with what happened yesterday. I really don't. Because this has got me twisting and turning like Fiercey, like looking at it this way. Well, if he doesn't stay, well, what do? We have money to go spend it on hopefully another capable point guard that can fit in fine. I don't like that though, because the set is nice with Pascal and Poeltl. All of that interconnectedness is valuable. Fred, don't fucking strong arm us like this, bro. Seriously, don't do it because it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Work with the team and find that sweet spot with your salary where it works for the team and for you. Don't be greedy is what I'm going to say. Alistair saying, and he's not making it about him. Like I'm having a baby. He just said personal reasons. I know that. He's not hurt. I'd almost wish he was also hurt. And then I could justify this better, but he is not hurt right now. He's perfectly healthy. And to me, it's just as unreasonable. Like I watch television programs where father has a baby, the kids have a baby, and the dad's like, all right, I've seen my baby be born. They smoke the cigar and they leave the hospital and they go straight to the steel mill and they start working. Like what is this? Seriously, bro, seriously. I'm all for progress and paternal leave and equal rights and non-gender roles. But in some ways, bro, you have a responsibility to the Raptors that should supersede some things in certain ways. Like there's an allowance of certain amount of time to be there for the birth, be at the hospital, be there for the birth, be there for the first couple of days that the baby's born. But now you are an NBA player. You go to work. You go and clock in and you do your job. That is, yeah. Logical saying fiercely, if that is the case, decision made and we look to go forward, we keep like everyone and have no issues with resigning the other guys 2024 summer and be able to be under the luxury both 23rd, 24th to 25th. See, this is good. All right. So listen, if it's ugly, things don't work out with Fred. Well, there's sunshine in it because we have more manageable certain things. In fact, we may be busting our ass to make room and go into luxury tax to keep him here because we do really value him. And if he doesn't value that and he's still like, so be it. Once again, that's what I'm going to say. So be it. Is this how it's got to be? Then so be it. But otherwise, it's like, hey, we may bust our ass to try and make it fit to get you in here, Fred. Don't you see us trying to work? Or maybe he's had something tipped to him already from management And he knows, and he's like, well, I'm not going to show up because I know already that you guys aren't going to work with me the way I want, and I am on my way out to Orlando. So, oh my gosh, I just hate this kind of speculation and worry because I'd like it to be reinforced that he is very much with us and he wants to be here. Space Cadet saying, I think people are being irrational over one game. I get it. It's the stretch drive. The man just had another child. He'll be back next game. He'll be fine. That's what I said, though, for the first game. Like when he missed the New Orleans game, I say, okay, he's going to miss this game for the birth of his child. But then he missed the game on Saturday. Okay, I can give him this allowance because it's his birthday. He just had a child, and there's a back-to-back, and he's going to rest one of these back-to-back games anyway. Well, he rested both of the games on the back-to-back. I cannot stand up for him any longer. I'm sorry. No, there's no good excuse unless it's a very fucked up, sad reason for some reason that's not good. Otherwise, there's no good excuse. If all the vibes are good around the VanVleet family, he should have gone to work yesterday, is what I'm saying. All right, let's see. MSJ saying Fred will be the Nick Cannon of the NBA. He'll have to play until he's 50. Anyway, on to the next game. Yeah, I mean, he has that kind of financial freedom. Kids are an economic liability. You have to pay a lot to have a kid in today's world. Well, he can do that freely and not have to worry about it with millions of dollars. So there's no reason why he would stop having kids. Trust me, especially if Shantae doesn't mind being pregnant and she loves having kids herself, then they'll be having kids all the time. And then what's going to happen next time the fourth child comes? Fred needs 5 games off to sit at home and be a dad. Okay, Fred, you get 5 days off. What the fuck? Logical saying replacing Fred is hard at the moment with the gearing up style. It pushes the timeline back and the team will start to change more. Remember, Fred VanVleet's last free agency and the Riddick thing, deja vu, Fred adjusted for Giannis. That's what I'm saying. I know that Fred is adjusted and taking less money to help us. And I hope that trend stays the same. But I don't know. I don't know at times. Right now, I have more questions about him than ever right now. Monique's saying, will be interesting to hear Fred's interview. When's he going to have an interview? I want to hear him. Is he going to have an interview? I want to hear it from his mouth. I need to hear him say what he's going on with him right now. Alistair's saying, if we traded our first-round pick to be a win-now team, we shouldn't be 9th. Okay, I can understand that. I don't give a shit about the first-round pick, though. Listen, we're going to win. We're going to win. We're getting there. It's just still a little bit of the growing pains and the bullshit. Wayne's saying, my expectations are for us to lose maximum 5 to 6 games. When we don't share the ball, we lose close games. Expectations are the players' IQ rise to the occasion. Fred won't change what has worked for him. Yeah, I could get behind that. I think that's about the right amount of games. Like, we could probably lose a couple more, but not too many more. Like 7 maybe at the most, 7 or 8. Mike's saying, Fred said he wanted the bag last time and he's looking to get paid. What happened? He signed a team-friendly deal and adjusted the money against him with the recoup on the player option. I want to say purchase order. He knew could not be used. Yeah, well, I mean, I give him credit for the last one. Hopefully this is going to be the same this summer. We'll see. I'll give him the chance. Fun guy saying, laugh out loud, bro. The Raptors are 4-7 on back-to-backs this season and definitely much worse than the last few years. We're that bad on back-to-back, so got to disagree with you, bro, for sure. Okay, well, all right, let me clarify. What I'm saying is it's not just with us. I think overall in the whole league, teams are winning on the second night of a back-to-back more often than they did. Now, that record is actually not bad. We've got 4 wins on the second night of a back-to-back. I know there's more on the other side, but that's to be expected. And considering how much we've been losing this year, to win 4 games on the second night of a back-to-back, that's actually is something. You may look back to last year and see that we only won 4 or 5 games on the second night of a back-to-back last year. So in some ways, this is okay, and this is good. I don't remember. Last year, we had 12 back-to-backs, and I'm trying to remember what our record was on that. I think it's very comparable, but consider how much we lost this year. Put it that way. Randolph Phillips saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Consistency is needed and proper use of our players. Yes, they need to be available. And blessings to you, Randolph Phillips. I always appreciate you being here. Mike saying, could have not been used. Geez, my bad grammar. All right, you're doing double negatives. Fred VanVleet knew I don't know what's going on with you, bro. Anyway, you can do your corrections on your own. Wayne saying, Raptor Freaks, other teams have talent, egos, and incentives to win games. My worry on this team is mental toughness. and game time recognition to do different things during a game. Delano needs 15 pounds. Yeah, I can get behind that last part for sure. I do worry about the preparation before games. We know that Chris Boucher does meditation, and it's really worked really well for him. Scottie does some yoga. They do different things. But in some ways, I've questioned Scottie's preparation for the game and being ready right at the beginning of the game. And it's early in this career, he's shown like nonchalantness, kind of smiley, jokey, maybe not taking the game as seriously. But then this year at times, he's been very much game face. I'm coming in, I'm very dialed in, and I'm serious. This is really important for all the Raptors to get better at, is understanding their pregame ritual and what they do to get ready to get up for the game and do what they're going to do. They need that eye of the tiger. They need to be prepared mentally. And sometimes our slow starts and getting behind by double digits early is because we're not coming into the game correctly. And that is a big problem. And I agree. This is something we need to do better. Game time preparation, whether it's the coach giving the right speech to pep them up at the beginning of the game or before the game behind there, and to get them oriented to the game, to going into it, but what matters and what is important as part of the game plan, and just really juicing them up and getting them like motivated to fight and claw and tooth, nail, everything against people like the Cavaliers. That is a problem. We're not prepared correctly when we go into games, and I don't like that. In some ways, that says something about Nick not being a good coach. And I don't like that. We need to be better prepared, whether it's on an individual level or as a group as a whole, that we need to think about what we're doing in our mindsets when we're coming in the game. Chris is really good at this. In fact, he could be a leader to teach these other guys. You see him before the game during the anthem, and he's in a zone. He's meditated. He's cleared his mind. And then he comes out and he makes things happen. Well, that's what we need the rest of the guys to do the same thing, that they need to prepare for the game better mentally. I totally agree with this. Mike is saying, yeah, let daddy go to work. I feel you, though. Let him go to work. Let him go to work, Fred VanVleet Jr. I know you love your dad. You want to spend as much time with him, be around him, but he has a job, and he has to do that job so that he has millions of dollars so he can spoil you kids. So let him go to work. Fiercely saying, thank you for the explanation, Logical Raptors fanatic. Yeah, Mike's always good at keeping things cleared up, and I appreciate that about him. And fun guy saying, by the way, have you tried Sunrise Jerk Chicken? If so, where would you rate it? I've never tried Sunrise. Is that a particular restaurant? I would tell you the best jerk chicken in Toronto is at Rasta Pasta. You can go to Kensington Market and say hi to Magnus and Mary, my old employers that I used to work for. They have the best jerk chicken. I could eat that chicken 5-7 days a week. Every single day. I did for a while because I got an employee discount. I'd work at the convenience store across the street, and I'd walk right after I got off work. I went over there and I used my employee discount to get a half chicken of jerk chicken every single day. I was so healthy. I ate so well. Oh my gosh, I miss that jerk chicken. So I'm going to say it's Rasta Pasta. They don't have very good jerk chicken at Real Jerk. It's unfortunate. They have good wings. They have good jerk wings, but they don't have very good like jerk pork or jerk chicken. They oversalt it. It's way too salty and gross. The jerk pork at Real Jerk. But Rasta Pasta, oh my gosh, everything they do there is really good. And the Rasta Pasta is like a combination of Jamaican and Italian food. So on Magnus's side, the fine dining side, he'll make you like an Alfredo, a fettuccine Alfredo with jerk chicken in it. It's the infusion of Italian and Jamaican dishes. Rasta Pasta. That's right. I'll give them a good advertisement here because they were my old bosses, and I love them. They're good people, Mary and Magnus. Shir Khan saying, great stream. Nice to have a therapy session after a game like that. Good things on the horizon. Get some separation on Chicago and Washington. Get 41 to 43 wins, and we can be in a good position, maybe steal a game or two. I appreciate that, Shir Khan. You're a part of the Sunshine contributions to the therapy also. I get therapy too, just like you guys do. Too. I see Nameless. I'm not even sure what that is. All right, let's see. All right, once again, the Raptors did lose by 25 to Cleveland yesterday. Unfortunately, we could not sweep them. Good job, Siakam. Very valiant effort with not a lot of help around you, and it's too bad. My 3 stars were Siakam, Poeltl, and Flynn. Now, I have to really recognize Donovan Mitchell for 13-21 shooting, 8 of 12 from three-point range, 35 points. Fantastic game by him. Really annoying. Real quick, I just want to mention one more thing real quick. On Twitter, it messed up. Anyway, what happened is the USA, Canada played in Argentina, and they qualified for the next level of FIBA basketball. They beat Argentina, and they actually put them out. Fantastic accomplishment, because Argentina is one of the best teams in the Americas. Good job, Team Canada and Nate Bjorngren down south in South America, winning that a game. They split. They won one and lost one, but they have qualified, and they will be in the next part of the FIBA qualifiers for the Olympics, the America's Cup. So you go, Team Canada. Way to win it, and we're really proud of you, aren't we? Aren't we, Justin? I know Justin. I'm wearing the Beaver shirt, so maybe Justin needs to come and make an appearance, especially since Team Canada was successful yesterday. Justin, are you proud of Team Canada and what they did this weekend down south? Okay, good. Listen, Justin, you're on Sioux Falls now. We traded you. Yeah, you got to go to South Dakota. Yeah, go to Sioux Falls. All right. Thanks for watching me. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let's go, Raptors. Let Daddy go to work. Please. Can Daddy go to work? Please let Daddy go to work. Please.